It's not my fault that there was no sound. It was because of Windows. Windows updated. And every time Windows updates, everything gets fucked up. Hi, everybody. Hello, I'm back. Hello. I hope everybody's having a great time. Hi, it's me. Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm back. It's been a while. We got a new overlay. We got a new Sophie. No, that's not true. I'm the same Sophie. Maybe.
We're working on a new
you don't.
Sophie.
We're working on a new. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I missed being here. Hi. It wouldn't be a Sophie stream without some technical difficulties in the start. Hello. I hope you all like the new overlay. I worked really hard on it. I should point out right off the bat, while you're making your initial judgments, your opinions, your first impressions, that the donation bar is not going to have text on it in the final version. Lord CW, thank you for the sub. The final version of the text bar is going to have the text like not sideways, and it's going to be like underneath the bar itself. I just haven't gotten to that yet because I have to commission a custom one because you can't make them vertical in Streamlabs. So that's temporary, but everything else, like, I'm very, very happy with this overlay. I'm going back to corner art just because I think corner art looks really nice with this overlay. I have moved the footage from dead center to, I've extended the left part a little bit more, and then I moved it over to the right. So the footage, here's my thinking is, if you're looking on twitch.tv, your chat is on the right side, right? So if you're looking at chat and you want to look at the game, my thinking is, if there's no bar in the way, then that is just less distance between chat and gameplay. It's less eye travel time. Is a lot of thinking went into this. Yeah, the dono bar is totally unreadable. Don't worry about that. You have to like crank your head. Don't worry about reading it. The important part is that it goes up. It goes up, and that's awesome. Uses XSplit to individually turn each letter to make it right. Jesus, that's horrifying. Theoretically possible, although when the bar starts filling, it would look pretty bad. But yeah, I'm going back to corner art. I've got this whole thing. I'm really happy with that. I've made the colors much easier on the eyes because while I was working on this, yeah, in fact, I should explain where I've been, because maybe not everybody knows. If you haven't been following my Twitter, you won't know where I've been. In bed is the answer. In bed and very bad. I have been taking escitalopram, which is an antidepressant. It is an SSRI, and I've been taking that for about a year, 2 years, somewhere between those two numbers. And I realized, a while back, I was like, you know what? I don't really need this stuff because all my issues are mostly rooted in ADHD, which I didn't know. I didn't have that diagnosed at the time. I didn't know I had ADHD. And so now that I'm medicated for ADHD, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go off this. So I did everything I was supposed to. I went slowly off the medication. I got less and less dose. I lowered the dose bit by bit. And then when I finally stopped taking it, I got KO'd. I could not walk properly. I could not think straight. I also had a different medication that I also take just run out, and I was so sick that I couldn't go to like the pharmacy to get more. So I literally, and this medication kept me from having like migraines, and the other one was for heartburn. So not only did I have the monumental like struggle of dealing with crazy brain fog, brain fog. I had brain zaps. I had crazy dizziness. I couldn't walk. I was super nauseous. I had everything. And on top of that, I also had crazy migraines, which were even worse because the medication, like, because it had been keeping the migraines out, like, I wasn't used to them. Because when you have chronic pain, anybody who has chronic pain, you'll know. When you have chronic pain, you just kind of have to deal with it. And eventually your body just sort of gets used to it. And you can operate with the pain in the background. But because I had those headaches gone for a bit, it just knocked me on my ass. And then I also had heartburn, which if you haven't heard me talk about my heartburn, holy fuck, it is straight up debilitating. I'm talking like shaking in bed from just pure pain when I'm trying to sleep. Anyways, I got my meds back. I'm no longer withdrawing from the SSRIs. It took like, I don't even know how long it was. I was basically bedridden for like over a week straight. I was very upset about it. I was very, and the mood swings. Oh my God. Okay. So funny thing about SSRI, things. Basically, it's doing all the chemical work for your brain to get that serotonin in there. And so your brain says, oh, cool, we've got this. I'm just gonna go ahead and like turn off your serotonin generators. And so they shut them off. And then when you stop taking the medicine, you have no serotonin coming through, and the brain's like, oh, well, we need some of that, don't we? And they go into they send their workhorses in, they send their work boys into the factory to go turn the thing back on, and wouldn't you know it, all the machinery is rusted over, and so I had brain rust, and so they have to pour Coca-Cola all over the serotonin factory to unrust it, and then it just takes time to turn back on. I hope you liked my analogy. Get ready for analogies, because today we're explaining Kingdom Hearts. And that's a lot for the average person, but I'm no average. I'm no average Joe. I'm Sophie Baby, and I know my Kingdom Hearts. Not only do I know my Kingdom Hearts, but I also I've kind of internalized it. I don't know if everybody is like this, but for me, when I watch a movie or I just experience a story in general, half of it goes through and the other half doesn't. And that can be simple stuff, like stuff that you would have to be an active viewer to pick up on, like, you know, the deeper like meaning behind like certain aspects of the film or movie or game or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But it could also just be basic stuff. Like I didn't even realize, like sometimes I won't even realize the like obvious parallels between two different characters. So with Kingdom Hearts, I have had a long time to like internalize my thoughts on this series. And so I have gotten very good at just explaining it in a digestible way, in my opinion. However, that is with a lot of time spent on it. So maybe I'm crazy. I think I've done this before. I know I made a Twitter thread once where I kind of quickly summarized them, just to prove a point that it's not that hard. And I might have done this on stream once before, but here's the key with both of those. One, my thoughts on the series have matured a little bit further since then, because I've gotten to replay a lot of the stuff and think about it out more, and you know, I listen to other people's takes on it, and you know, it's evolved. My understanding has evolved.
In 2077, what makes someone a criminal? Getting caught.
Awesome.
Sharkwaves donated $20.77.
Thank you so much, Sharkwaves. Shit, you knocked me off my train tracks. Basically, I've gotten the time to like really digest the series, and so I think I can. I think I can. I think I think I can do this better than I have in the past. Will my summary be aided by helpful MS Paint visuals? I would love to, except one, I can't draw to the point where it's like, oh my God, I totally did this before, because I remember, or at least something similar, because I remember saying these exact words. But anyways, I can't draw to the point where it is like, it's actually difficult to parse what it is I'm even trying to get across. And two, because I have to think really hard about my drawing, it would just distract me too much. Speaking of distractions, I have to pee, so I'll be right back. I'm back, and you're lucky, Val, that I don't have the pointer finger on the BRB screen, because I was about to point left so hard. Hi, everybody. I'm back. So for today, be prepared for me to talk a lot. run out of breath from talking because I do that. I talk so much that I like forget to breathe, and I will run out of breath. But get ready, strap in, because if you know a lot about Kingdom Hearts, maybe I'll remind you about some stuff. If you don't know a lot about Kingdom Hearts at all, then you're gonna learn so much. And we're gonna start off with I should mention we're gonna start off with Kingdom Hearts 1 because it is the first game. We're gonna mostly go by release order, not chronological order, but there's gonna be a couple of different, what's the word, exceptions. There's gonna be a couple of exceptions to that as we go through, because there's just a couple things where when you're playing the games, it's better to experience them in release order, but there's a couple places when, if you're just trying to explain the whole series, probably best to just go in a modified order. So let's get started, shall we? So Kingdom Hearts 1, it's the first game, and it's got the fundamentals, and if you can understand Kingdom Hearts 1, you can realistically you can understand the rest of the series. It has all of the introductions of the primary, like, important aspects of the series all wrapped up. You're assuming Days is going before 2? Yeah, that's exactly it. Oh, also, don't let me read chat, because I'll just keep getting distracted. Let's get some music going, so we're not just chilling. We're going to listen to 3 hours of relaxing and emotional Kingdom Hearts music. I think that'll be good. Let's get relaxed and emotional. Whoa! It started in the middle of a song, because I've listened to this before. Okay, so I can't read chat, so I have to distract myself. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Okay, so so Kingdom Hearts 1 is where everything starts off. So it starts out with 3 kids. They live on some islands, and they're just kids. They're literally just kids. They hang out. They live on like some islands, but they swim out to like a secluded one. It's their like hangout spot. It's where they just hang out there. They've got a few other friends that also come with them, but for the most part, it's these 3 kids. Their names are Sora, Riku, and Kairi. And Sora, he's just kind of like, you know, he's a happy-go-lucky kid. Kairi is like, she's kind of like she teases a lot, and she's kind of like his crush or whatever. And then there's Riku, who's like a dick. He's like an asshole, basically. Who made the island? Erosion? Sand? I don't know. Actually, I do know, and we'll get to that. But yeah, so there's Sora, Riku, and Kairi, and they're buds, and they are like, they just want to like leave the island. They're like, all they've ever known is these islands, and they're you know, it's Moana, okay? It's like, they're like, God damn, I want to explore. I want to see what's out there. So they're all going to build a raft. They decide, you know what, we're going to build a raft. We're just going to abandon our families. We're going to go sail out, which is like, which kid hasn't thought of that? Like, hey, let's just like run away from home, right? They wanted to take that to the extreme, though. So they got a grand total of like 1 bottle of water.
Thanks for doing my evil bidding. Signed, Marasmus.
Thank you, Lady Emily.
Lady Emily donated $6.66. Good luck trying to describe all this. You can do it.
Thank you so much. I will be able to do this. I'm getting into the nitty gritty right now, but I should point out that generally speaking, I'm going to be covering the broad strokes and not the nitty gritty, because that's not really important for the plot. That's the experience when you're playing the game. But right now I am going into the details just because I think it's fitting for the explanation, because it's the first game and you really got to know the fundamentals of what's going on. So yeah, they got a grand total of like a bottle of water, 3 fish, a couple of mushrooms they found on the beach, and they're like, yep, we're good. Let's go sailing. Unfortunately, the night before they're gonna leave, a crazy storm breaks out, and Sora wakes up in the middle of the night, and he's like, oh shit, our raft is gonna like get like destroyed by this storm. Side note, Sora, if the storm's gonna kill your raft, I don't think you can sail on it, because storms happen on the sea too, bro. But anyways, so he goes out, it's the middle of the night. Everybody makes fun of it, but his mom's like, Sora, come to dinner, and then he's gone, and then she never shows up in the series again, ever, which is awesome. So Sora goes to the island, and this crazy storm is breaking out, and then all this shit, like, just like a black cloud shows up in the sky, and fucking like shadow monsters start showing up, right? So he's like, what the hell's going on? He runs to try and save the raft, and meanwhile, he's like, wait, what the hell? This feels familiar, because he's been having dreams lately where he's been fighting these shadow monsters. He's just been like dreaming lately, like just like chilling in bed, and he's been dreaming about this. So it's like, what's going on? This is like deja vu. So he's running off, and the game gets pretty like, it's very vague here. It's bringing in a lot of questions. As he's running it through the island, he can't like hit these monsters with his wooden shitty sword. And then this thing like pops up into his hand, literally just flashes into existence. It's the Keyblade. We all know what a Keyblade is. Come on, even if you have a passing understanding of Kingdom Hearts, you know what the Keyblade is. But he doesn't know what the fuck it is. He hasn't even dreamt about this one. And a bunch of like whispery voices are like, Keyblade, just to tell him what it is. This is basically Tetsuya Nomura was like, I don't know how to introduce the name of this weapon, so we're just gonna have a bunch of whispery voices tell Sora. Anyways, so you continue down the island. This Keyblade's kicking the ass, by the way, of these shadow creatures. And then you run up to Riku, and Riku's like kind of zonked. It's kind of scary. He's just like, Sora, this is it. The island's gonna get absorbed by the darkness, and we're gonna get to explore other worlds. I'm not afraid of the darkness, Sora. And Sora's just like, huh? What? He doesn't know what's going on. Riku starts getting sucked into like a darkness puddle, and Sora's getting a little scared. He's getting a little like, what's going on? He tries to reach for his friend's hand. He can't reach. Sora books it into his little secluded spot. He's got like a little hangout spot where he and his buddies make like cave drawings with rocks on the walls. It's very fun. So he goes in there, and some shadow man shows up. And he's just a man in like a coat, but he's got no face. He's wearing like a beige coat. And I don't know. He says some shit. Kairi shows up, and she's like, Sora. And then she fucking turns into a ghost. It's pretty wild. Sora's having a wild day. Then the big shadow giant from Sora's dreams comes down and kicks Sora's ass, and his whole island, his whole life, his whole home gets killed as hell. It gets sucked into the darkness, just like Riku was saying. So that's a lot of stuff for Sora to sort of absorb. Sora shows up. He wakes up in this random town he's never been to. He explores, and he eventually runs into Donald and Goofy from a Disney. And they basically explain that
We've got
Mortis, thank you!
money.
Morse_Mortis donated a generous $30. Kingdom Hingdom.
Thank you so much.
all
That's so
of them.
generous of you. Thank
By
you.
Sophie.
So Sora runs into Donald and Goofy from a Disney, and they basically explain that this thing that happened to his island has been happening all over the place. There is other worlds out there, like other like places of they don't really explain what they are, but they're worlds basically, and they are also getting sucked into darkness. Their King Mickey of Disney has been looking into it, and they were sent on a mission to find the key. The King Mickey was super specific on that. He said, "Go find the key." And Donald and Goofy, I'm not gonna lie, pretty lucky that they stumbled into Sora, but they did. So Sora's got this Keyblade, and they are all like, "Okay, cool, awesome." So Donald and Goofy are like, "We're gonna say we did our mission. I don't know what to do next." Sora's like, "Well, my friends went missing after my house exploded. Like, can we go looking for them?" And they're all like, "Yeah." And then Riku shows up, and Sora's like, "Wow, that was easy." And Riku's like, "Who are these guys?" And Sora's like, "Oh, they're my new friends. They're helping me out because, you know, our island exploded." And Riku's like, "Okay." And he runs off. And then Maleficent from Disney shows up and is like, "See, kid's already made new friends. Doesn't even care about you. He sucks. You get better friends." And Riku's like, "Yeah, that sounds about right." And so Riku hates Sora now. So fast forward a bunch. Sora goes to a bunch of different worlds based on a Disney. And he's just basically on a regular old adventure. He's learning about the world around him. He's going to, he goes and like unlocks keyholes in worlds. The reasoning doesn't really matter. It's a good old RPG romp. As he's going around, he runs into Riku occasionally, and Riku's kind of being an asshole some more and talking about darkness and all this fun stuff. Eventually, Maleficent tells Riku, "Yeah, you know your buddy Kairi? Well, her heart got eaten by the Heartless." And Riku goes, "Oh, damn, that was Heartless." And so Maleficent goes, "Well, Riku, I'm going to give you the power to control the Heartless so you can be strong enough to defend your friends." And Riku sees nothing wrong with that. He doesn't make a connection. But to be fair, he's like 12, so I don't really blame him. So Riku is now he's controlling the darkness, and Sora shows up and calls him stupid, and that's a real line. And he says, "Riku, you're stupid." He says, "You're stupid," and he says it, and those are real words that come out of Sora's mouth in the video game. And can you blame him? Like, come on. And Sora's basically like, "Hey, your heart's gonna get eaten by darkness just like Kairi." And Riku's like, "Nah, man, I'm good. My heart's strong." So then Riku's heart gets eaten by darkness like Kairi. And he basically gets possessed. Remember that shadow guy with the beige coat? That guy possessed Riku. And his name apparently is Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. And he's a big bad guy. And his goal is to find Kingdom Hearts. Well, that's the name of the game. What is Kingdom Hearts? He doesn't know, but Ansem thinks it's darkness. And Sora, well, he's just a good old kid, so he thinks it's light. And that's awesome. Good old-fashioned light versus darkness, easy thing. Ansem keeps eating worlds and blowing them up. Oh, sorry, before that happens, so Riku and Sora, like, fight. Like, not Riku, actually, not actual Riku, it's the possessed Riku. They fight, and Sora wins, but he takes Riku's, like, evil Keyblade, because Riku had one. It's not really explained why. But he had one. I guess Ansem can control it, maybe. I don't know. And basically, Riku explained that the Keyblade was the Keyblade of people's hearts, and it could just unlock people's hearts. Just like Sora's Keyblade can unlock worlds, this one can unlock hearts and basically rip them out of bodies. And at some point here, Riku also explains that Kairi's heart didn't actually get eaten by a darkness. It actually got stuck inside of Sora's heart. So he's got two hearts just like swimming around in there. So Sora's like, well, shit, how do I save my friend Kairi? I know, we got this Keyblade here that unlocks hearts. And so he stabs himself with it. And then then Kairi pops out, but Sora's a heartless now. Because that's what happens when you lose your heart. By the way, those shadow creatures, yeah, they're called heartless. And basically, what it is if your heart is removed from your body and it gets possessed by darkness, you turn into a heartless, which is just a shadow creature. Mostly mindless, but not always. Depends on how strong your heart is. So yeah, Sora's heart got taken out of his body. Kairi's heart also got taken out. Kairi's heart went back to her body. Sora's heart had nowhere to go, and it got eaten up by darkness, and he turned into a heartless. And then, about 5-10 minutes later, probably less, Kairi gives him a big old hug, and then he turns back into Sora. Nobody knows how this happened. It has never been explained. The wiki uses the word somehow when they describe this scene. So Sora's fine now. And Sora goes and he kicks Ansem's ass, and Ansem, like, they fight in like a space arena, and Ansem is like, "Oh, Kingdom Hearts, give me dark power!" And Sora's like, "Hell no, dude, Kingdom Hearts is light!" And then a big light beam shoots out and kicks Ansem's ass, and he turns him into goop. And Mickey's in there for some reason. Sora doesn't know why, but Mickey's in there. King Mickey. And Donald and Goofy are like, "Whoa, King Mickey, what are you doing in Kingdom Hearts?" And then Riku's in there too, huh? What's Riku doing in there? He's not evil anymore. Riku's cool now. Probably because he had some one-on-one time with King Mickey. So Riku and Mickey are in Kingdom Hearts. And then Mickey's like, "We gotta close this door because I got bad news, Sora. I know there was a big light beam. It is actually kind of darkness in here, so we got to shut this up." And so Sora locks the door, but Riku and Mickey are stuck inside. Uh-oh. And Sora's basically back at square one. Kairi, I gotta explain that Mickey is shirtless in this scene, by the way. I promise it's important for later. Anyways, so they shut the door. And Kairi, she kind of floats off on like a sand platform because Sora's in like a weird space arena right now. And I guess because they killed Ansem and they closed the door, all the worlds that were eaten by darkness are good. They're being restored. And Kairi's being pulled back to her original world. She's being pulled back to Destiny Islands. So Sora's like, "Oh shit, where are you going?" He doesn't get pulled back. He stays in this weird space place with Donald and Goofy. So Sora's back at square one. His friends are gone. He doesn't know what the fuck to do. He can't get back to his home, but at least he's got a Keyblade now. And that's Kingdom Hearts 1. So just a quick sort of overview of the game and its themes. It's very much just a light versus darkness, simple battle. A kid, he's the chosen one. He's got this Keyblade, and it has the power to defeat Heartless, like for realsies, whereas any other weapon you use doesn't actually kill Heartless. Yeah, he's just trying to look for his friends. His friends have a little bit of trouble, and then he loses them at the end, and they kill Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. Also, Ansem turns into a boat. That's really important. Ansem, for the final boss, he turns into a boat. Hold on. Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, final boss. He turns into a boat. Like, if I can get a picture of this. Yeah, here's his model. Holy shit, I forgot how funny this looks. It's called World of Chaos. And this is what the boat looks like. Hang on. It's kind of small. This is what his boat looks like. This is him up here, and this is his boat. But that's for the final boss fight. But yeah, very simple little romp. So Sora, at the end of the game, he goes and he wanders off with Donald and Goofy, and their new goal is to find the king and Riku and Kairi, and that's their new goal. Kingdom Hearts 1 is done. Kingdom Hearts 1 is a very nice, pretty nice closed and shut case of a plot. It does leave with room for a sequel, but Sora at least killed a super bad guy who's trying to kill all the worlds and was doing pretty good. Next up is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. It says Re-Chain of Memories. If you're wondering why it says Re-Chain of Memories there, that's because they remade the game for PS2 to give it super graphics. But originally it was on Game Boy. So, at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories, Sora is walking around. They're literally just like walking in an empty field. And they're like, well, what the hell do we do? And I guess out of sheer luck, Pluto shows up. Pluto, you know, from Disney. Who also is the King Mickey's dog. And he shows up and he's got a letter with King Mickey's face on it. And they're like, oh shit, we gotta get this. And so they chase after the dog, and then they run into this guy in a black coat, and they're like, hey, come hang at my castle. It's not a trap, I promise. And so they all go, it's the Sora and Smash letter, whoa! So they follow this guy, and they promise it's not a trap, so it can't be a trap. So they go to this big spooky looking castle. It's full of darkness, and Sora sees no problem with that. They walk in, and they're like, well, obviously the dog was with the guy in the coat, so clearly Mickey and Riku gotta be there. So they go in, and shortening a long game's slowly unveiled plot, basically, while they're in there, Sora is slowly losing his memories and also getting them replaced. This place is called Castle Oblivion, by the way. I should, oh, perfect timing. We actually just changed to Re-Chain of Memories music on the video that I'm watching. It just transitioned, that's perfect. So this place is called Castle Oblivion. And that guy in the black coat basically explains that everything here is cards, because this is a card game, because it was a mobile spin-off. But it is plot relevant. So, yeah, Sora's losing his memories as he goes through this place, and all the worlds in this game. He's going back to the places he visited in Kingdom Hearts 1, but he's slowly, like, losing his memories, and nobody in the game, like, remembers Sora. And by the end of the game, even Sora doesn't remember these people, but Sora has new memories. So basically, the primary thing that has changed is he doesn't really remember his adventures from Kingdom Hearts 1 anymore. He's like got a vague idea, but he doesn't really remember. He forgets Tarzan forever because they couldn't get the rights to Tarzan for Chain of Memories. And he still remembers Donald and Goofy, luckily enough. He doesn't end up forgetting them, but he does forget who Kairi is completely, totally erased from his brain. However, he keeps talking about this girl named Naminé, who he swears just up and down he promised to protect. He was like, I promised to protect Naminé, and I gotta go find her. And Donald and Goofy are like, why didn't you bring this girl up before? And Sora's like, well, I couldn't remember her until now. And Donald and Goofy are like, that's kind of suspicious. And Sora's like, fuck you guys. And he gets really mad at Donald and Goofy because they don't get it, because they're not losing their memories. So eventually it turns out that this Naminé chick is, she's a pawn for the guys in the black coats. And she has the power to mess with Sora's memories, and she is making these changes on purpose to fulfill an unknown goal, we'll say, for now. So it turns out that guy in the black coat, there's actually a bunch of them here, and you know, they're all hanging out. There's a couple cutscenes you get to hear them talk about, you know, stuff. There's clearly some like internal conflict going on, and yeah, they don't want to kill Sora, but they just want to test him. And they want to get these memories out of him, and that's all we know at this point. They want his memories. So as Sora goes through, he eventually just is like completely fixated on saving Naminé, and then he runs into Riku. What? Riku from Kingdom Hearts 1? Yeah, Riku's in here, but Riku's kind of being an asshole again. He's wearing the same like evil clothes he was wearing when he was possessed, and he fights you. And Riku's like, I gotta save Naminé, and Sora's like, but I gotta save Naminé. And then Sora has like this charm in his pocket that wasn't there before, by the way. That's like Naminé's charm, and he's like, well, I got this charm from Naminé, and Riku's like, but I got this charm from Naminé. And then Riku shuts off. He breaks. Because, oh, shocker moment, it wasn't actually Riku. So Naminé comes out. Naminé's a real person. Whoa. And she comes out and she explains to Sora, like, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I've been fucking with your memories, but like, I really don't want to. I'm kind of being forced by these guys in the black coats, but one of them is kind of like not chill with them and they let me out. So I've been running. This Riku guy isn't actually Riku. He is a replica. They took Riku as a concept and they put him in a 3D printer and they made a whole new Riku, except he's evil this time. And Naminé changed his memories to be all Naminé focused at request of the guys in the black coats. So yeah, this is Riku Replica, or Repliku, as we will continue to talk about him for the rest of the series, because he does come up again. And that's basically his whole gist, is he was a 3D printed kid who just was supposed to stop Sora, and yeah, he'll be relevant later. But Naminé is like, she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Can you kill like the big boss here? And Sora's like, you got it, queen. And you kill the big boss. You learn that the big boss of this place was named Marluxia, some dude with pink hair and a scythe. Super sick. You fight them in a Yu-Gi-Oh battle and you win. And Naminé's like, hey, Sora, so about those memory things, I could like pick it apart and change it, but I can't really put it back super easy. So I need you to go into cryo sleep for a year so he can put you back together. And Sora's like, geez, well, time to get my nappies in. And Donald and Goofy also go to sleep for a year for no reason at all, because they never lost their memories, but they lose a year of their lives for no reason at all. It's awesome. Meanwhile, while all this was happening, Riku was also the real Riku was at Castle Oblivion. He was there. He was there at like the same time. Basically, at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, remember he was behind that door, that big door to Kingdom Hearts? Turns out, oh, spoiler, that was not actually Kingdom Hearts. The Ansem guy we were fighting was just an idiot and was wrong. That wasn't Kingdom Hearts. That was a door to this place called it was the Realm of Darkness. It was the door to darkness. And the Realm of Darkness is basically hell. So that was a door to hell. So Riku got trapped in hell with Mickey at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. Oops. So Riku's chilling out in hell, and then, if I'm remembering correctly, basically Ansem, he's getting like visions of Ansem, and Ansem's like, oh, just give into the dark, dude, it's cool, just give into the dark, and Riku's like, I'm not gonna give into the dark, dude. Anyways, eventually, King Mickey comes around, he's like, dude, we're stuck in here, let's get out. And so they get out. And Riku shows up in Castle Oblivion, whereas Mickey is like force ghosting into Castle Oblivion to like hang out with Riku from time to time. So Riku's story is very simple. It doesn't do a ton, but there is some important stuff in there. So he's in Castle Oblivion. He's not losing his memories. He's cool because Naminé doesn't even know he's around. So Riku goes through Castle Oblivion, and he's fighting some more of the guys in black coats that were there. He's killing them left and right. And every one of them is like, Riku, give into the darkness, bro. And he's like, no. And then they say, Riku, give into the darkness, bro. And he says, no. And then they say, Riku, give it. He said, I know. I said no, like so many times. And then one guy says, give into the darkness, bro. And he says, yeah, okay. And he does it. And he gives into the darkness. Shortly later, Mickey's like, whoa, Riku, hey, bro, giving into the darkness? Not cool. Oh yeah, at this point he also learns how to smell darkness. It's never explained again, it never comes up again. It was a weird one, but he can smell darkness. It's fine. But anyways, Miku's like, hey, Miku? I got Riku and Mickey confused. Mickey comes over to Riku and is like, hey, bro, darkness? Not so cool. And eventually, Riku gets like a ghost projection from Kairi for some reason. And Kairi's like, hey, bro, maybe don't use darkness as much, but maybe use it a little bit and light at the same time. And Riku's like, that's fucking, you're blowing my mind, bro. So Riku has now mastered light and darkness. and he's fighting a bunch of people. He fights like, I don't remember if it was a projection of Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, or if he just survived the first game and he's there. But he fights Ansem, and Ansem's like, "Damn, dude, you nailed it, man. You're good at both." And Riku's like, "Yeah, I am." He doesn't turn into a boat this time. So that all finishes up. I think Riku runs into his replica at some point too, and I don't remember if that. I think that gets explained to him, but it's kind of fucked up. Anyways, so eventually he helps Mickey get out of the realm of darkness. They're both there. They go hang. Oh God, who do they see? I think they speak to Yensid. I could be wrong. Oh, I should explain who Yensid is. He comes up in the next game. No, it can't be Yensid. Who do they talk to? Is it Namine? You know what? I don't remember what it is, but it doesn't really matter.
A plot delivery.
They talk to a plot delivery. Who we don't even, you know what? It doesn't matter because we don't know who they are yet. They talk to a mysterious person. Is it Diz? Okay, they talk to a mysterious person in like red robes. And the guy in the red robes gives them these cool black coats, the same one that the bad guys were wearing. Whoa. And they're like, "Hey, these coats will protect you from darkness. Go chill, I guess. Bye." And Riku and Mickey, they leave. They basically get told that Sora's in a pod for a year, and they're like, "Okay, sounds good." How far into the series are we? We're on Chain of Memories. It's big. It's big. It's on the screen. It's big, and it's on the screen right there. So yeah, that's Chain of Memories. Full recap. Sora lost his memories and got them played with. The person who did it was like, I was being forced to. I'm sorry, man. And they put him in a pod to get his memories fixed up. And then I don't know if we find it out in this game, but we'll talk about it soon. But basically, the reason they were trying to get Sora's memories is to make a perfect replica of him, just like they made one for Riku. Because the Riku one was imperfect because they didn't have his memory. So they're trying to make like a real good Sora 3D printed. Like they're basically trying to make like a CAD file, but they didn't have all the information they needed. So they're trying to pull it out of Sora. So that's what happens. Sora's put in a pod to go cryo sleep for a year. Riku and Mickey go hang out. They're best friends now. And they look really cool and they walk away from the camera at the end of the game. It's awesome. And Namine, what happens to Namine? Hangs out with that guy in the red robes that we don't know who he is. So the next game in the series is Kingdom Hearts 2. However, Kingdom Hearts 2 deliberately has a lot of questions involved, and it would be easier, since I'm explaining the whole series, to just jump straight to Kingdom Hearts 358 Days, which came after Kingdom Hearts 2, but takes place chronologically right after Chain of Memories and before Kingdom Hearts 2. When this game ends, Kingdom Hearts 2 straight up starts. Like they're back to back. So it is easier for me to go to here. However, before I do that, there's one little thing that happens in Kingdom Hearts 2 that I gotta explain first. So, in Kingdom Hearts, we mentioned when a heart gets taken out of their body, the heart gets, it starts before Chain of Memories, whatever. The heart gets pulled out of the body. If it gets eaten by darkness, they turn into a heartless, right? Well, what happens to the body that got left behind? Well, in Kingdom Hearts 2, they explain that the body turns into a nobody. That's confusing terminology, but sure. The body turns into a nobody, which is basically just a heartless. They're interchangeable, but it's how they're created is different. But they are just more, generic enemies. However, just like with heartless, if the heart is strong, or if the body, if the heart that came out of the body is strong enough, the body will remember having a heart and it'll keep itself sentient, basically. And those guys become super powerful. And so those guys form this group called Organization 13. So in Chain of Memories, those folks in Chain of Memories, the guys in the black coats were part of Organization 13. And we'll explain what they were doing there as we're talking about Kingdom Hearts 358 Days. But essentially, the key focus of a nobody is they don't have hearts at all. And a heart in Kingdom Hearts, it means a lot of things. It's similar to the soul, but the most important part is that it governs emotions. So if you don't have a heart, you don't have emotions. So if you remember, back in Kingdom Hearts 1, Sora briefly turned into a heartless for 5 minutes of gameplay. His body got left behind, and his Heartless, like, turned back into Sora. So his old body still got turned into a nobody. That still happened. But it was because it was a little bit fucky-wucky, a little bit silly, willy quazy. He didn't have any memories of that time with the heart. So I mentioned that, you know, the nobodies remember, like, if they're really strong-willed, they will remember their time with the heart and keep their sentience. Sora's nobody kept its sentience, but it didn't have any of those memories. So it was very much an outlier there. And it also could control the Keyblade. Aren't the nobodies the ones that dance real slippery? Some of them do dance quite slipperily. So he can also control the Keyblade, which is awesome sauce for the organization, because Organization 13, again, a group of 13 nobodies who are all sentient, their goal is to get hearts again, because they're like, dude, this sucks. I can't feel happiness. That's kind of lame. So they want to make this, they want to make Kingdom Hearts, which in their opinion will give them hearts again. They don't know that for a fact, but there's like a lot of rumors going around on what Kingdom Hearts is, and all they know is that it has a lot of power. So they are under the impression that, yeah, this will give us hearts again so we can feel stuff. So we're gonna start with the plot of 358 Days, and I'm probably gonna go ham on this one because I don't think Tetsuya Nomura wrote this one. Like, I know he did. Tetsuya Nomura is, by the way, he's the creator of the series, he's the director. And I think he accidentally made something that he doesn't have the ability to make. You know how, like, George Lucas is kind of a not great director? Like, he's fine, he's got great ideas, but he needs to be, like, held back. This feels like one of those moments where, he, like, Tetsuya Nomura got held back and something good actually got really, really goodly made. Because this game fucking owns. So, the head of Organization 13, there's a bunch of them, but their leader is this guy named Xemnas. And Xemnas is, he goes and he finds all these super powerful nobodies and he invites them to the organization for the goal of creating Kingdom Hearts, like I said. So Xemnas finds Roxas, and Roxas is, like, zonked out. So Xemnas explains that basically, while nobodies don't feel emotions, because they can remember their time with the heart, they still have a personality and they still act like they have emotions because they remember what it was like. They're basically just acting as if they have emotions. Duke, you can't say that. That's a secret. Sorry, Duke just said something that's a secret. But yeah, so that's pretty rude to say, but he did have a co-writer that writes the Kingdom Hearts novels. It's not rude. I can criticize I can criticize his writing. These things get wacky. Anyways, so Xemnas shows up to Roxas, and Roxas, because he doesn't have any memories, is just like a zombie. He is out of it. And Xemnas is like, hey buddy, you're gonna join our team because you have a Keyblade, and the only way to make Kingdom Hearts is to get a bunch of hearts and stick them in one place. Right? That's what Xemnas' plan is. And the only way to do that is with the Keyblade. Remember how Sora's Keyblade is the only thing that could kill Heartless for good? Well, now, this new guy has one. This guy's got one, and Xemnas is like, this is perfect. He's a nobody, so he fits into our organization, and he can kill Heartless. Awesome sauce. So he invites this guy in, and this guy, and he gives him a name. He basically scrambles up Sora's name and puts an X in there. So his name is Roxas. That's his new name. And Roxas is just fucking zonked for his first few days, to the point where this game takes place over the course of actual days, 358 of them, if you would believe it. And you don't actually do anything until a week into the game, because Roxas literally doesn't remember any of it. If you were to take this game as like his retelling of it, like seeing it from his point of view, he doesn't remember the first week well enough to actually, like, involve this, like, to involve it in the game. He doesn't remember. So Roxas gets brought into the organization, and he meets a whole kooky cast of characters, everybody in it. He is basically told his mission. He's told that he doesn't know what anything is, right? So Xemnas is like, hey, you're a nobody. You can't feel anything. You have no emotions. We, as a group, want to fix Kingdom Hearts, or make Kingdom Hearts, rather, to get hearts so we can all feel things again, and you're the only one who can do that. And that is basically all Roxas knows. He is just a blank slate outside of that. So Roxas is doing missions, and eventually one of the people in the game, the guy with red hair there you see on screen, that red spiky hair guy, his name's Axel. And he invites Roxas up one day onto this big clock tower to look at the sunset and eat some ice cream. He's like, oh, it's the icing on the cake. And Roxas is like, what? What, ice cream? Not icing? Because he doesn't get it, because he's stupid right now. And that's okay. He is literally basically a newborn. So Axel's like really kind of awkwardly trying to explain why they're eating ice cream. Roxas doesn't get it, but Axel's just like, I don't know, why not? Tastes good, whatever, we'll hang out. So Roxas just goes with it because he is just kind of following the orders of everybody around him, and he kind of considers this like an order in that same way. He's like, oh, I guess I should follow my superiors. So he eats ice cream with Axel, and they start making this like a habit. After every mission that they go on, every day, they go up to this tower and they eat some ice cream. And Roxas is slowly starting to wake up. He's starting to become less and less of a zombie. Like the very first time he ever talked, I think, was with Axel. He didn't even talk for the first week. And as the days go by, he starts to sort of absorb the information around him, and just like a newborn, he starts existing. He starts developing a personality, and he starts talking, and eventually he learns to ask questions. So one day, after a mission, him and Axel are hanging out on this tower, and he sees some kids playing like football, and he's like, "What the hell are they doing?" And Axel looks at him and is like, "They're playing football, bro. They're friends. That's what friends do. They're playing football." And Roxas is really confused at this because he's never heard the word friend before. So Axel just kind of vaguely tries to explain what a friend is, even though that's kind of a vague concept. And Roxas doesn't get it. But a couple days later, they continue that talk of friendship, and Roxas is like, "Are we friends?" Because they're also eating, like the kids down there are also doing stuff like eating ice cream, and Roxas like clues in, like we're doing the same stuff. Are we friends? And Axel's like, "Yeah, sure, we're friends, sure, bud." And yeah, so that happens, and as time goes on, Roxas starts to kind of perk up more. He's gaining more of a personality because he's experiencing things, and he starts to really look forward to these days where they, at the end of every day, they go and eat ice cream, and they're friends, and he doesn't really understand what that means, but he likes it. Wait, how does he like it? What? But he doesn't have a heart, and don't you need a heart to like things? Shh, we'll get to that! Shut up! Shush, we'll get to that, okay? So, one day, Axel talks to Roxas and is basically like, "Hey, I'm gonna be gone for a couple of weeks. I got a special top secret mission I gotta go on." And Roxas is like, "Oh, okay, bye, I guess." And Roxas is kind of depressed about it, but Roxas decides he will spend his time without Axel productively because, Scruffy, thank you for the sub. About a week after Roxas joined, the same day that Roxas started to be able to like parse information, they also added another member of the organization, a 14th member. Whoa, but they only got 13. What's going on? They added another member of the organization. Her name was Shion, and she could also use a Keyblade. Well, that's super freaking convenient. But she was also just zonked like Roxas, and she's been like this for like weeks now. She's not kind of cluing in like Roxas did. So Roxas is like, "Oh, hey, well, we're kind of similar. I'll bring her up for ice cream after a mission." And Shion, just like Roxas, starts to kind of wake up. Roxas is like start trying to explain these things to her, but he doesn't really fully get it either. So he's like, "Oh yeah, this is what friends do. We can be friends. We're gonna eat ice cream." He's like, he doesn't really get it, but he's trying his best, and it works. And Shion eventually starts to perk up. She gains a personality just like Roxas. They're both pretty peppy. They're pretty happy. And they like going on missions together. And Roxas is like, "Hey, Shion, maybe when Axel gets back, all three of us can hang out here and eat ice cream." And they're like, "Oh, I'd like that." So, while this is all going on, Axel's secret mission, super secret mission, was actually happening at the same time as Chain of Memories. So, remember in Chain of Memories, the organization was there, I mentioned, right? They were running the show, and there were some internal conflicts. So what that was all about is Marluxia, the head of it, was in charge of this Castle Oblivion for this project that Vexen was trying to do. Vexen is one of the members of the organization. He's basically their scientist. So Vexen wanted to make people out of 3D printers. He wanted to 3D print people. And he did it with Repliku, right? But Repliku was like not perfect. So basically, Marluxia was like, okay, we're gonna go hang out at Castle Oblivion and we're gonna use Naminé to suck the memories out of Sora to 3D print an awesome Sauce Keyblade wielder. And it kind of worked. That is actually how Xion was made. Please stop spoiling things in chat, y'all. I'm explaining the game, and if you jump ahead, then it breaks the pace. I'm pacing this on purpose. So that's how Xion was made. Nobody knows this except for a select few people, but Xion was made in a 3D printer, and all these memories that they're siphoning out are basically powering her up so she can also go get Heartless. It's basically a backup plan in case Roxas doesn't work, because I mean, basically, yeah, it's a backup plan. You know, I don't need to explain it. If Roxas dies, then their whole plan is defunct. So Vexen comes up with the bright idea to 3D print people with Keyblades and do that. So, basically what ends up happening, though, is while they're hanging out at Castle Oblivion, they kind of realize, like, hey, our boss, Xemnas, is kind of a dick. And we can just, like, 3D print Keyblade wielders, so why don't we kind of go rogue? Awesome! And nobody likes this. Well, nobody in the main organization likes this. So, when Axel goes with them, Axel's actually, like, basically a double agent. He's just gonna keep an eye on them, and if they get out of line, he gets to kill their asses. He's a fucking assassin. And over the course of Chain of Memories, Axel was killing people left and right. I'm sorry I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that's because they were all going rogue and telling Sora, like, information that the organization didn't want Sora to know. And so Axel ends up killing, well, Axel and Sora and Riku combined end up killing everybody who went there, except for Axel. Axel makes it out alive. And so, like, half the organization is dead. And Roxas wakes up one day and he reads a sign that's on, like, they put out like a fucking like post-it note and they paste it out into their lobby, and they're like, yeah, everybody who was assigned to everybody who's assigned to the Castle Oblivion is dead. Sorry. And Roxas is like crushed. He's like, that's my buddy. Oh fuck. Oh, how am I gonna have ice cream with my buddy now? He's dead. And he's like really broken up about it. How is he broken up if he doesn't have a heart and he can't feel things? Sheesh, we'll get to it. Gosh. So, Sora spends the next few days just like fucking heartbroken. How can you blah, 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 blah. And he's all sad, and he doesn't even make it to like some ice cream things. He doesn't even care. He's kind of lost it. Xion doesn't show up a couple of times. Oh yes, sorry, did you take Morales? That's a good point. Yeah. Around this time, shortly after this note goes up, Roxas passes out. He just fucking conked. He's out. He's out cold. And he doesn't wake up for like 3 weeks. And Xion is like, oh, fuck. My buddy's dead. Who am I going to give ice cream with? Same deal. And so she, eventually, while she's out on missions, she goes out to this one beach and she finds some like really pretty seashells that she likes. So she starts daily putting a single seashell on Roxas's bed every day until he wakes up. And it's very sweet. So Roxas eventually does wake up 3 weeks later. The reason he got KO'd was because this was when Sora's memories were getting zap all over the place. And that just kind of KO'd Roxas because Roxas is still connected to Sora. So while Roxas doesn't remember anything right now, as you're playing the game, Roxas has little snippets of memories from Kingdom Hearts 1. And that is basically, you know, his connection to Sora. And anyways, sorry, I'm getting all over the place, but I'll fix it in the recap at the end. So Sora gets knocked out for 3 weeks. Xion's all worried. He wakes up, and a few days later, Axel shows up, and he's okay. Yay! And everybody gets to have fun, and they're all happy, and everything's really good. Axel's okay. Xion's okay. Roxas is okay. They're all happy. Meanwhile, Sora's in a tube in Castle Oblivion, but it's fine. Everything's good. Everything is good. They're just doing missions. They're happy. They're all eating ice cream. They're laughing. Eventually, Axel, like, Axel introduces him to the concept of, like, a best friend. And like Roxas is like, what the fuck's a best friend? And Axel like, what's the difference? And Axel's like, there isn't one. And Roxas is like, are we best friends? And he was like, nah. I think that only happens in the manga, but it's a good point. Basically, Roxas doesn't know what this is, and Axel's, he's too proud to really admit it, right? And he doesn't really care because Axel's a nobody, he can't feel nothing. So anyways, oh geez, I gotta remember like the order of events here because a lot happens as we're going forward. So eventually Axel finds out that Shion was 3D printed. And Axel's conflicted about this, naturally. And Axel's ex, Syx, this guy named Syx, he likes the moon a lot. Syx is like the number 2 of the organization. He's basically like the second in command. And Syx keeps telling Axel, like, you're getting way too attached to these guys. Like, that's just like a fucking, like, experiment. Kind of a failed experiment because Vexen died back at Castle Oblivion. We can't 3D print any new ones of these, and it's not working super well, so, like, chill. Right? 358 Days is not where the series gets convoluted. I disagree with that. But anyways, I gotta stop reading chat. So, Axel's conflicted about this. Axel starts kind of, like, avoiding Roxas and Shion because he's like, oh, fuck, what do I do with this information, right? And then, and Roxas is like, oh, geez, Axel's not making it. And eventually, Shion stops coming to ice cream time. What is going on? Roxas is all confused. He doesn't know why his friends are running all over the place. Gibson, hi! Hi, we're talking about all the Kingdom Hearts games. We're at 358 days right now. We haven't gotten to Kingdom Hearts 2 yet. I'm doing this one first. So anyways, Roxas is all sad because Shion and Axel are ignoring him and he doesn't fucking know why. He's just like, I just want to have ice cream with my friends. What the hell? Eventually, Roxas runs into Shion and finds out, uh-oh, she can't summon her Keyblade anymore. She is completely unable to. And so basically, if she doesn't like start farming up Heartless kills, they're gonna kill her. They're gonna turn her. They're just gonna like kill her because she's a failed experiment, right? Roxas doesn't know that she was 3D printed yet, but like, and neither does Shion for that matter. But they are aware. Like, if I get caught, I'm gonna get killed. So they sweet talk Syx into letting them go on like missions together for a little while, so Roxas can kind of like cover for her. But eventually people start getting sly on it and start figuring out like, hey, maybe that's something's weird's going on and try and split them up. So on one last final attempt, Roxas just is like, here, take my Keyblade for the day. Maybe it'll help you remember. And it does, it works. Shion is able to summon the Keyblade at the end of the day through that connection with Roxas. It's sort of that kind gesture. She is able to summon it again. Yay, everybody's happy. Yeah, so she's able to summon her Keyblade. They're good. Axel is still kind of like distant because of his info, but he helped them out. He's cool. He still cares about them a lot, right? Okay, now I have to remember the order of events next because like I said, shit gets like pretty fucky here. So Shion's able to summon her Keyblade again, and a bulletin board. On the bulletin board, Syx posts like, hey, there's an imposter running around who's wearing our coats and pretending to be us, but they're not working for our goal. And it shakes everybody up a little bit. Everybody's like, whoa, hey, who's this guy? And so eventually, Shion, yeah, imposter. Yeah, okay, yeah, all right, get it out, chat, get it out. Go ahead, get it out. Yeah, imposter. Oh, hey, so Samogus. There's an imposter among us. Whoa. So eventually, Shion runs into this imposter, and the imposter like explains everything to her, and is like, yeah, you got 3D printed. You're a cat. You're a walking CAD file. And Shion doesn't know what to do. She runs away from the organization for a little bit because she's like totally lost on what's up. The imposter also tells her like, you are keeping Sora from getting fixed up in his pod. So this is the big reveal of the game. First off, the imposter is Riku. Remember, he got his funny outfit at the end of Chain of Memories? That's his new outfit. So Riku is like, hey, you are stopping my buddy Sora from getting remade because remember how Shion was 3D printed to be like a new Keyblade wielder, right? The way that worked is they were trying to siphon out Sora's memories to make that work, to make her exist, right? And I guess Vexen kind of fucked up in the CAD file because she's like taken too much, and she's also draining Roxas of his power. Like she's taking a little too much. And Roxas is getting like weaker by the day. Shion is like one-shotting bosses, and Riku is like, hey, we can't fix Sora's memories because you're hanging on to all of them, and we want that. We need those back. And so Shion is really broken up about this because she's met at an impasse. Should she die to help this other guy's friend come to life? Because like she's like, who is Sora to you? And he's like, Sora's my best friend. And that hits for her because like this was shortly after Axel like admitted like, yeah, we're best friends. So this like hits for her. She's like, fuck, that's big deal stuff. That's best friend. And so she's really thinking this over. And eventually, Saïx tells Axel, like, listen, Shion is a liability. You gotta go pick her up. Either kill her or take her back here. Because one or the other has to happen. And Axel at this point is just like checked out. He is so fucked up. Like he's like, I can't do anything here. One of my friends is getting eaten by my other friend, and I can't do anything about it. And now I'm being told to basically choose one or the other. Because if he brings Shion back, she's eventually going to absorb all of Roxas. And if he kills Shion, he just killed Shion. And then Shion's got her own thing. She's like, again, if I die, like then this guy's best friend can come back to life. If I stick around, Roxas is gonna die. It's like everybody's fucked up. And by the way, this whole time, Roxas doesn't know any of this. Roxas is completely left in the dark. He is just trying to eat ice cream with his friends. He is like, he gets really sad throughout this part of the game. Like he is completely like, he feels abandoned by his friends. He doesn't know why they're avoiding him. He goes to eat ice cream every day completely alone. He is like heartbroken. He just wants to be with his friends. Yeah, he doesn't know any of this. So, and Axel doesn't tell him either. So, eventually, Axel fights Shion. They spot Shion out in the wild, and Axel fights her and brings her back unconscious. There was also a period where Shion was unconscious for like a week or something. It doesn't really, honestly, real talk does not matter for the story. It happens to her too. It's around the time where Sora gets put in the pod. It doesn't matter. That happened ages ago. It's so small, it doesn't really matter. But anyways, so she's unconscious. Axel brings her back. And Roxas is like, yay, all my friends are back. And Shion is like, thanks, Axel. I would not have come back if you didn't like knock my shit out. And Axel's like, cool. Let's just all be friends for a bit, right? Let's all just chill. And so they have like a couple of very short moments where they are hanging out again, but there's clearly something off. Shion is like constantly just looking at her ice cream, not really eating it. Axel's like not really talking much to either of them. And Roxas is just like, he's kind of happy, but he's also like definitely can tell something is super wrong. Yeah, bittersweet. It's a very bittersweet moment. Eventually, Shion is like, no, I gotta book it. I gotta leave. And so she does. And then like, in fact, actually, I don't remember if this happens in the game, but in the manga, which by the way is just like elevates the whole story. The manga is really good. So she like leaves, and then like Axel and Xigbar go together. Oh, sorry, Xigbar, by the way, is another important guy in the organization. He has guns, and he does not matter for this game, but he matters later. But yeah, Axel and this other guy named Xigbar go and they catch her, and she's like, okay, I'll go with you, I guess. And then she fucking knocks Xigbar out on his ass and books it out of there. She leaves, and Axel doesn't do anything to stop her. So, Shion is gone again, and she goes to Riku, and she's like, okay, I've made my choice. I'll do it. And oops, I deleted the wrong message, but whatever. So eventually, oh god, I gotta remember exactly what happens here. So she leaves, she goes to Riku, and she's like, fine, I'm ready. Just, I don't know, slurp me back into Sora, I guess. She's not like super into it. She's like, I don't know what to do. She's really fucked up right now. And I gotta remember. She gets the shit kicked out of her again and brought back to the organization, I believe. It happens like 3 separate times. Like, they just have to keep beating her up and bringing her back. And, so this part's weird, but apparently, at this point, Xemnas, like, reprograms her. I don't know where that part came from, but I've heard a lot of people say it's a thing. But anyways, she sticks around, and she, basically, Xemnas is like, okay, either Roxas or Shion has to die. Because Shion is she was 3D printed, so they can reprogram, right? So anyways, Xemnas is like, okay, either Roxas or Shion has to go, and Shion's being a bit of a liability, but we can reprogram her to keep her still, but she ain't taking it. She's still being a rebel, right? Eventually, Shion, yeah, that's right. So she gets reprogrammed to fight Roxas. And, yeah, she went to re-education TM. Jeez, yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm jumping around. So let me back it up here. So she gets the shit kicked out of her one last time. She gets brought back, and Xemnas is like, okay, one of these people have to go. So she programs Shion to work for him, just totally reprograms her, and says, go fight Roxas, because one of these people has to go. And so she goes to Roxas, and she's like, I'm sorry, I gotta do this, we gotta fight. Roxas looks at her, and she doesn't look like her anymore. She looks like Sora, and Roxas is like, what the fuck's going on? So Shion basically explains she has basically absorbed most of Sora at this point, and Roxas, because Roxas has bits of Sora in him too, right? They're both sharing it. Shion's basically absorbed most of it, and she has absorbed so much that she literally looks like Sora. And God, we got the perfect song for this part. Yeah, they fight. Oh God, the music. So they fight, and Roxas has to kill her, and because her existence was so deeply tied to the memories of Sora, like the reason she looked like she was because she like was an image of how Sora remembered Kairi, like because she was so deeply tied to the memories, everybody would forget who she was when she died completely. She would be completely erased from existence. Nobody would remember she was ever there. And so as Roxas finishes her off, she's dying, and Roxas is starting to like forget, like live, as she's fading away, like who is this person? But he knows he should be upset. He's like, oh, hey, are you hurt? What's going on? And he's like crying, and he doesn't know why. And then like right before she disappears, he's like, wait, Shion, no, who will I have ice cream with? And he actually says it, and people clown on that line. But it's really sad because Roxas is literally like a newborn. He's like less than a year old at this point. The idea of eating ice cream was just his only idea of what being a friend was. And that was just his way of saying like, you're my friend. Like, how will I like do this one thing that I look forward to every day now that you're gone? And that was it. She dies. And Roxas has like a fucking breakdown. He doesn't remember Shion, but he does remember that he's like, he doesn't know what's going on in the organization. He's tired of just listening to people give him orders. He doesn't know why he's working with them. So he leaves. He leaves straight up. He's like, I'm done. I'm leaving Organization 13. Axel tries to stop him. And Axel's like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, if they find out, they're going to kill you. And Roxas is like, nobody would miss me. Because Axel's been like kind of a shitty friend this whole time. Not really his own fault, but he's been very distant because he doesn't know what to do. So like, Roxas feels like he has no friends at this point. And Axel's like, that's not true. I would. But he doesn't, like, say it loud enough for Roxas to hear. So Roxas is gone. He leaves. Eventually, Roxas makes it. He's, like, on his way out of town. And Riku shows up. And Riku is like, hey, I gotta kill you so my buddy Sora can live. Nothing personal, buddy. And Roxas is just pissed. Roxas is so fucking mad right now. He is so pissed. And he just like fights Riku, and he kicks his ass. Roxas like kicks Riku's ass because Roxas has like full Sora power at this point and Shion power to the point where he can summon 2 Keyblades now because he has, I guess because he's absorbed Shion, so he's got 2 Keyblades now, and he's just beating the fuck out of Riku. But then Riku shows that he's got a Super Saiyan mode. Because of the whole thing that happened with Ansem, he has to wear a blindfold, and if he takes it off, he turns into Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. He just turns into him, and he's really powerful. It's basically him giving into the darkness. So he ends up having to use that darkness power to kick Roxas's ass. And the dual blades of the power combination? Yes, it was. And so Riku kicks his ass. That guy in the red robes from before shows up and is like, okay, we need to like lock this guy down so the organization doesn't find him while we finish fixing Sora, and eventually this guy's gonna have to like merge with Sora so Sora can exist again. And so they take him and they put him in the Matrix, basically. They erase all of his memories and they stick him in the Matrix for him to hang out until it's time for him to merge with Sora. And that's where this game ends. No happy ending. No, oh, it's all worked out. The game ends with this guy going into the Matrix. Happy game, everybody! Yeah, so that was that was Kingdom Hearts 358 Days. Like I said, I think Nomura accidentally made something fucking really good here because it is so like heart-wrenching, and none of the other games match this, and none of them are as sad as this. So to re-explain everything, to recap, Roxas was Sora's nobody, which again, a nobody is the body left behind when somebody turns into a Heartless, like their heart turns into a Heartless. And like he works for these people, not really understanding why. He knows very little. They don't tell him anything. He's constantly being like stepped around. Nobody, even his best friends, are telling him shit for the entire game. And yeah, it's just he eventually just leaves because he's tired of being stepped around. I haven't gotten there yet, but you think Birth by Sleep is a contender for being a game like this, kinda? Well, it would be if Birth by Sleep was good in any capacity whatsoever. Oops! We'll get there. I have my thoughts on Birth by Sleep, but we'll get there. We're moving on to Kingdom Hearts 2. Final Mix doesn't matter. It's the special version of the game. Don't worry about it. It doesn't change the plot. Kingdom Hearts 2 takes place the second after Roxas wakes up in the Matrix. So the game begins with Roxas in the Matrix. He remembers nothing. He's friends with a couple of folks that were in this place before that they used as like a basis for the Matrix. He is just hanging out. He's just being a kid. And eventually shit gets like really weird. Like he's having weird memories, which are Sora's memories. Whoa. And they're like memories from the first game. And then he's like, nobody starts showing up, like the enemy, not like the organization, but just like regular enemies. And they start like fucking up the place. And Roxas like summons a Keyblade at one point and he fights them off and has no idea what's going on. At one point, a nobody, like one of the regular like kind of grunt enemy ones, steals some pictures that they had. It's just like a picture of their friends, right? And they're like, hey, what the hell? They stole the... And like they can't say the word. And the nobody literally stole the very idea, like the concept of pictures. They didn't just remove it from, like they didn't just take it from them. They took the existence out of it, out of the Matrix. Because they were basically what the reason was is the way it's explained is the nobodies were told to get Roxas. That because spoiler alert, the organization found Roxas in the Matrix. So the nobodies were told to go get Roxas, but they're really dumb. So they saw the pictures and they're like, oh, there's Roxas on there. And so they took the pictures and all the code connected to the pictures to try and pull Roxas out. But it was just the pictures, not actually Roxas. Good job. Good job, Dusks. Those things are called Dusks. They look like squiggly dancers. They're very fun. So Roxas gets the pictures back, and the organization is like, God damn it. And Roxas is just confused as hell because he's busy trying to play like sports with his friends, play football or whatever. His summer vacation's about to end. He's got to do his homework, and there's like monsters showing up, and it's very weird. As he's doing his homework, he has to do like a project, and he's walking around town doing like the project, and shit just starts like breaking, like some like sports balls come like phasing out of a wall in town, and like a shadow copy of him tries to fight him, and like just a bunch of stuff that is like impossible. And we learn that this is basically the Matrix is falling apart because the organization's trying to break in. Also, yeah, his friends in the Matrix are the same kids he saw playing football back in 3-5 days. Doesn't really matter. But anyways, so let's see, where was I? He's trying to, right. So the Matrix is like breaking down, and while he's just hanging out, Axel shows up. And Roxas doesn't know who this guy is. And Axel's like, hey, Roxas, remember me? You gotta come back with me. We gotta, like, get out of here. Because Axel's still working for the organization at this point. And, he's trying to get him out. And Roxas is like, I don't know who you are. Go away, please. And, like, Axel's just, like, frustrated and trying to get him to remember who he is. And, yeah, that's right. Now Axel can't even have his friend back, right? Eventually, that guy in the red robes shows up. His name is Diz. I'm just gonna start calling him by his name. His name is Diz. Diz shows up too, and Axel and Diz are basically just trying to like tell Roxas like, "Come with me, no, come with me, come with me, come with me." And Roxas is just like losing his mind. And then he thinks about his friends, and then it throws them out of the Matrix because he's very powerful or whatever. So, anyways, eventually, Nominee shows up and talks to Roxas a little bit, doesn't really give him any information. And while Roxas is doing his homework, the last bit of it is to investigate this like old mansion. They're looking for like myths in town, by the way. It's the school didn't tell him to go look at an abandoned mansion, but one of the myths in town was that this abandoned mansion had a girl living in it in the top roof. In the top floor. And Roxas goes into to inspect it. And I should mention, when he goes to inspect it, this place is like, the Matrix is like crashed, like everybody's frozen. So he goes to inspect it, and he finds Nominee in there. And Nominee basically, long story short, explains to him, Sora needs you need to merge with Sora so Sora can wake up. You're not supposed to exist. They re-explain to him, like, you're a nobody. And you were never supposed to exist in the first place, and you need to go join with Sora so he can wake up, because he is supposed to exist. And Roxas is very upset about this because he would like to hang out with his friends. What a concept. Axel shows up and is just done. Axel's like, he's really like broken up about it, and like Roxas finally doesn't remember him, but like kind of, he's starting to, he's not starting to remember, but he's being informed, right? And he's like, oh, hey, it's Axel. And Axel's like, oh, you remember me. I'm so flattered. And they do a big boss fight. And Axel's basically just at this point either trying to beat the shit out of Roxas and pull him out, or just, I don't know, kill him. I don't know what his objective was. The organization told him to do something. Probably pull him out. But anyways. So Roxas beats up Axel and explores further in and discovers he's been in the Matrix. And he leaves the Matrix. And then he walks over and he finds Sora in his pod. Diz shows up and tells him, you gotta merge with Sora. And Roxas is like, fuck you! But then Sora pops out of the pod and Roxas is like, alright, it's the right thing to do. And they merge! And so Sora's back awake, Roxas is gone, fun fact, so Kingdom Hearts 2's intro takes place over the course of, a few days, and 358 days, is the day before it picks up, and the day that Roxas merges with Sora is actually... it's actually the anniversary of Roxas's existence. So Roxas's birthday present was getting to stop existing. Awesome! Yay! On the bright side, the sad parts are mostly over for a bit, because Roxas is gone and he's a very sad time, but he's in Sora now. So Sora wakes up and Sora goes to hang out with he goes to hang out with Donald and Goofy. King Mickey shows up and he's like, "Oh, we gotta get you to Yen Sid." And they're like, "Who the hell is Yen Sid?" His name's Disney spelled backwards. They go hang out with Yen Sid, and Yen Sid basically tells them about nobodies and their existence, and is like, "Hey, remember that Ansem guy you killed the ass of? That was the Heartless. That guy was a Heartless. So there's a nobody out there, and it's Ansem's nobody, and his name is Xemnas, and he's gonna kill everybody. What? Oh, jeez. So Xemnas is out and around, and he's if you remember, he's the leader of Organization 13, and Sora's basically just given the mission of stop Organization 13 because they're trying to make Kingdom Hearts, and that's bad. So Sora goes to a bunch of Disney Worlds, and they don't matter, and then eventually Sora finds out that he's been used this whole time, and every Heartless he kills. Here, Cat, thank you for the sub. Every Heartless he kills is actually filling up Kingdom Hearts. Because remember how Roxas was doing that? Yeah, it's the same idea. So Sora's actually kind of helping them by accident, but he can't really stop fighting Heartless because they're still killing people. It's a whole dilemma for Sora. So Sora decides, fuck it, I'm gonna go straight to the source and I'm gonna kick these guys' asses. So they go hang out. Sora has a brief, like, heart-to-heart boss battle with Roxas. Roxas shows up and is like, oh, why did it have to be you? And then Sora talks about friendship a bunch, and Roxas is like, oh, I see, that's why it had to be you. And Roxas is chill for now. And then Sora, he goes and fights all the organization members, and they keep calling him Roxas, and he's confused because he doesn't really know who Roxas is at this point. And they fight Xemnas, and Riku helps out. Riku's there, by the way. Riku shows up, and Sora's like, Riku, where'd you go? Excuse me. It's a whole thing. It's great. So as they're running through the castle and killing organization members left and right, Diz is there. So fun fact about Diz, it gets explained in this game that Diz is not named Diz. His name is Ansem, but wait, it's not the Ansem that we just fought a boss fight a couple games ago. No. His name is Ansem the Wise, and he's a totally different guy, and that's like completely not even connected. We'll explain why the other one was named Ansem later. Actually, I think it gets explained. No, I can explain it here. So basically, this Ansem the Wise guy had an apprentice named Xehanort, and the Xehanort guy turned evil and wanted to experiment with Heartless. So Xehanort guy turned himself into a Heartless and a nobody, and and took the name Ansem. So when he turned into a Heartless, he was just like, I'm going to be named Ansem now because I guess I want to. I don't know. It's because Tetsuya Nomura thought it would be a really cool twist, I guess. Not at all confusing. Literally, yeah, I just stole his name. But anyway, the reason I've been saying Ansem Seeker of Darkness so specifically is because that is his official name, because Ansem the Wise is a totally different guy. Oh, also, yeah, good point. That's why Xemnas is named Xemnas, because it's Ansem with an X in it. It's all those nobodies are named stuff with an X in it. So that was fun. You think it was to piss off Ansem the Wise? It could have been. It's very fun. Anyways, so Ansem the Wise is here. Diz, Ansem the Wise, whatever you want to call him. He's here at the castle, and he's like, geez, I messed up. I'm gonna blow up this new Kingdom Hearts they're making with a cool laser that I made. He made a laser. Oh no, you know what? It was okay. So it was kind of a laser. He was trying to turn Kingdom Hearts into data because this Ansem the Wise guy just loves computers, and he made the Matrix. So he figured, why can't I just stuff all of Kingdom Hearts into a computer to make it not form, right? I can stop their progress. I can just turn it into a computer. Unfortunately, Kingdom Hearts is made of so many gigabytes that it exploded his computer in a giant nuke. And the nuke sent Ansem the Wise to hell. That part's real. And it also cured Riku of his looks like Ansem Seeker of Darkness disease. Remember when he took his blindfold off, he turned into Ansem Seeker? Yeah, that got fixed with the nuke. Why? That's what I'm asking. So, Sora and Riku, they fight Xemnas and they kill his ass, and it's great, and it's all successful. And unfortunately, though, while they're fighting him, oops, they also get sent to hell. Oopsie daisies. And then they have a heart-to-heart moment. You know, Riku's limping around. And as they're chatting, the door to light shows up. Oh, what's the door to light? I don't know, but it leaves the realm of dark. It leaves hell. They get to leave hell, the realm of darkness. Why'd it show up? Oh, you know, friendship or whatever. It's fine. It doesn't matter. So they leave, and then they all get together and they hug, and yay, everything is great. Riku, Sora, and Kairi are all together. Donald, Goofy, and Mickey are there. They're all at Destiny Islands, by the way. I didn't mention. They're back at their island home. That's where the door to light like leads to, and Kairi is there. Kairi had like a whole subplot, by the way, in this game that didn't really matter. She forgot who Sora was because of the same reason that everybody forgot who Xion was, right? Because Sora's memories got ripped apart, so she didn't remember who Sora was anymore. But eventually she remembered, and then Axel wanted to help her because the organization was looking for her, I think to use her as like leverage to capture Sora again or something, I don't know. So Axel helped bail her out. Axel's a good guy now, by the way, because Sora is basically Roxas. Axel's just like, fuck it, I like my buddy, and sacrifices himself to save Sora at one point. So Kairi gets captured by the organization, and then she gets a Keyblade. Yeah, she can use those now. Riku too, actually. I didn't mention Riku can use a Keyblade too now. And that's basically Kairi's subplot. She doesn't do anything after that. She shows up at Destiny Islands at the end, though, for some reason. And everybody's there, and they're great, and it's great. The game's over. Everything is fixed. This game doesn't even sequel bait. Until you watch past the credits, baby! So at the credits, they get a letter from King Mickey, and then, oh, it's Kingdom Hearts 3, that's so exciting, and then the game ends. And then there's an extra secret cutscene if you got all the fucking lucky bananas or whatever, where you see some cool shit, like some guys in like armor with keyblades fighting in this really beautiful CGI cutscene. Yeah, they pulled an MCU. Kingdom Hearts has been doing the secret after credits things for like way before the MCU though. But anyways, you see this cool cutscene, and then it just ends. Kingdom Hearts 1 did the same thing, though. There was also a secret ending there, where you actually saw a snippet of Roxas and Riku's fight. At that point, though, that was just like a fun CGI thing that they made for fun, and then they worked it into the game afterwards. And that's kind of what this one was, too. This little CGI cutscene at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2 was sort of like, they had an idea for a sequence, like a fight scene, and they put it all together. And it was a really, really well-made CGI sequence at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. And eventually, they turn it into a game, because we are moving on to Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. So, and they had Mickey in that CGI one, despite him not being in Days. Hang on, I got two things to say for you. One, Mickey was in Days, and two, Mickey was not in the CGI cutscene, I don't think, for Kingdom Hearts 1. I think you're double wrong. What do you mean? What game, Alexa? What game? What game have I missed? Are you talking about the fucking cell phone game? I know what you're about to say. You're about to talk about the fucking... If you're about to talk about what I think you're about to talk about.
Get her ass.
Recoded? Oh, I'm gonna do Recoded after. I guess it does make sense to do Recoded first, though, huh? Yeah, okay, we'll do Recoded first. No, fair enough. All right, we'll get to Birth by Sleep later. No, it does make sense to do Recoded first. So Recoded! Just like with Chain of Memories, this is a remade version of a game that was originally on, I think, a cell phone. But it got ported to the DS. That's what the re means. But yeah, it was originally a cell phone game. And so this game takes place right after Kingdom Hearts 2. This is basically what ends up happening in this game. It's after Kingdom Hearts 2, and then nothing happens, and then the game ends. That's not entirely true. Okay, so Recoded, the story is, after Chain of Memories, Jiminy's journal... Sorry, I should explain who Jiminy is. In Kingdom Hearts 1 and onwards, Jiminy Cricket is there to log your progress. He writes in a journal. It's a funny way of, like, you know, recording your progress through the game. It doesn't matter. However, at the end of Chain of Memories, they wrote Thank Naminé in there, and then everything else in the journal got erased because of Sora's memory madness. So they basically they were trying to turn this journal into computer data to try and pick it apart and figure out if they can see, you know, what was on there before, and they can catch all the stuff, figure out basically what happened at Castle Oblivion, because all that information got wiped out of it too. So they plug it into the computer, and it's got viruses in it. They didn't install Malwarebytes, and now they got bugs in it. And so they take the data of Sora in there, program him a Keyblade. This is all real. They program him a Keyblade, and then they tell him to go, kill the bugs. And he does it, and then Riku shows up, but he's not Riku. He is the manifestation of the journal that took on Riku's form, probably because they wanted to reuse another, like a model that existed in the game instead of making a new one. And then basically they have to kill all the viruses. They find out that Pete and Maleficent put the viruses there. Remember Maleficent? She was in Kingdom Hearts 1. She was in Kingdom Hearts 2 too, but she didn't do anything. And she's best friends with Pete now. Pete from Disney. So anyways, they are the ones who put the viruses in the journal. And so they go to break all the viruses. Sora and Riku go to break all the viruses. Not Riku though, it's actually the journal. And then they darned it all up and it didn't work so well. And so they put viruses in Riku journal. And then that's where Sora says, "It's Riku, they put bugs in him." Oh, remember that? Remember when he said that? I can't not remember. I can't stop remembering. So that happens. They put bugs in the journal, so Sora has to go in there and then revisit all the worlds in the game to kill the bugs. It's kind of annoying. You have to go back to all the worlds you've already been to. And then after that, get this, right? You kill the bugs, you save Riku, and then the game like ends, and then, but get this, then they come back and they say, wait, hold on, there's more viruses. We found more shit in the journal. Turns out they found the Castle Oblivion parts of the journal, and there's still bugs in there. And so they have to get Sora. By the way, they deleted all the stuff from the game, from Data Sora's memory, because it doesn't make, he shouldn't know that stuff, so they deleted it so it wouldn't muck up the journal. So they had to bring him back and then program him a Keyblade again. And then he remembers nothing. He doesn't remember the entire game happening. I should mention that this Data Sora doesn't remember the events of Kingdom Hearts 1. So they're basically working with a fresh Kingdom Hearts 1 version of Sora. And then they erase his memories, and then they have to bring him back to do more work. And so they're like, oh shit. So they kind of like speed run the info to him. It's really funny. Anyways. So they, they got a new fresh Sora, and he has to go through Castle Oblivion. It's Data. And a bunch of stuff happens. I don't even remember. But this part, basically, Sora confronts like some Data of Roxas, and they have a fun conversation. And that's basically it. It doesn't fucking matter. Nothing plot relevant happens in this game. But then they get the Data back from Castle Oblivion. Yay. Okay, now we can talk about Birth by Sleep. I don't like this game. I'm just gonna be straight up with it. I don't like this game. I don't like its story. I don't like its combat. I think it's pretty weak. And that doesn't change the fact that I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, so Birth by Sleep does not take place. It's not a sequel. And also that's not Roxas on the cover. That guy that looks like Roxas, that's not him. I promise. Birth by Sleep's story is really good. You're gonna hear me explain it to you, and you're gonna be like, wow, this is like really good. The problem is playing it. If you play okay, actually, I have the perfect explanation. Okay, so 358 Days, right? It's got a really fucking incredible story, and a lot of people don't like the game because the game was never remade. And when they re-released all the Kingdom Hearts games for PS4 and PS3, instead of remaking the game, they just made a movie out of it. So they made HD cutscenes, but they took out all the gameplay. And in 358 Days, a lot of the characterization comes from the gameplay. A lot of the stuff that happens, like a lot of the emotional connections, and the very like heart of the story, whereas that monotony of going mission by mission, like of Roxas kind of just wanting to get to the next like ice cream thing, that ties into the gameplay. And taking that out really takes a lot out of the experience in 358 Days. Birth by Sleep has the opposite problem, where on paper, it's really good. You know, the cutscenes, like the story, the plot, it's fun, it's entertaining. But when you play it, all the characterization that happens in the game and all the actual in-game moment-to-moment stuff is really bad. It's really fucking bad. So Anyways, I'm giving a lot of negative stuff before even telling you what the game is like, but so I just wanted to point that out because I'm gonna explain this and you're gonna think it sounds awesome, but I promise you, it's not awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. So Birth by Sleep is a prequel. It happens before Kingdom Hearts 1. It takes place, I want to say 5-ish years. How old was Sora in that game? Sora looked like 8, and yeah, so it's like 5-ish years before. Sora does appear in this game briefly. So, anyways, this game it takes place around 5 years or so before Kingdom Hearts 1, and it stars these 3 characters: Ventus, who is the blonde-haired kid, Aqua, who's the blue lady, and Terra, who's the big guy in the top left. Mickey Mouse is also in this game, and he's there too. And this is the game where Mickey Mouse's voice actor died, and so they had to replace him, and it's not a very good voice actor.
Please take us.
I'm not going to complain about Mickey Mouse's voice right now. I've already gone too many tangents. Please. No, I'm not going to. No.
You do a really good impression of the bad Mickey Mouse.
I do a good impression of the bad Mickey Mouse. I'll do it later. Okay, so, and just like that, the music just changed to Birth by Sleep. This is the Birth by Sleep version of intro theme. So, you follow these 3 characters. Ventus, again, I just want to clarify, is not Roxas. Looks like Roxas. Same voice actor as Roxas. Same visual motifs in the outfit as Roxas. Is not Roxas. I need to get that across. Because it's very important for this game, because he just exists and he is not Roxas. So, basically the plot of Birth by Sleep is, this is back in the day where Keyblades were a little bit more common. Not super common, but they're a little bit more common. And they are running a Hogwarts for Keyblade wielders, and it's just these 3 there. Not Mickey. Mickey's not there. He used to be there, though, I think. So these 3 are training. Aqua and Terra are about to become Keyblade Masters, which is like an actual title. And Ventus is just like their kid friend. He's just a kid. He doesn't know nothing. And so they are taking their exam with a guy named Master Ericus, who is voiced by Luke Skywalker. And then they also have this other guy is coming to visit. He's not their like boss, but he used to be like another master who worked there, but he got shunned for being an evil prick. So he got kicked out, but he's back because he sent an apology letter, and Luke Skywalker thinks that's totally fine. So he comes back, and Aqua and Terra are doing their Mark of Mastery exam to get their, become Keyblade Masters. Okay, so yeah, he made an apology to it longer. They just brought him back. So that guy's name is Xehanort, by the way. Whoa, like there's Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts 2? Yeah, no, idiot. We'll get to that. So basically, as they're taking the test, Xehanort sabotages it. He uses his dark powers. The test is just they have to hit balls. And he turns them into evil balls. And that's the whole test. Anyways, so yeah, he sabotages the test. And so Master Ericus, Luke Skywalker, sees nothing wrong with this and still gives them their grades at the end. Aqua passes and Terra does not. Terra couldn't handle the darkness in him. When Xehanort sabotaged the test, Terra like tapped into his own darkness to try and fight them back. And Luke Skywalker thinks, no, the dark side is bad. It's evil. And so he does not give Terra his Mark of Mastery exam. And Terra said, what? I'm not going to be on the Jedi Council? This is bullshit. And so he goes to leave. And Xehanort talks to him and is like, Luke Skywalker doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Sometimes you got to use darkness. Sometimes darkness and light are both important. And Terra says that makes a lot of sense. And so Xehanort's like, hey, Terra, go explore worlds and do stuff. And Terra's like, that sounds like a great idea. So Terra leaves, and then Luke Skywalker goes up to Aqua and is like, Aqua, you just got turned into a master. Terra just went AWOL. I need you to go get him because he's struggling with the darkness and I don't want him to make any big mistakes. And so Aqua's like, got it, Chief. And she leaves to go after Terra. Meanwhile, Ventus is in his bedroom and this guy shows up in like a biker helmet. And Ventus is like, who the hell are you and how'd you get in my room? And then this new guy, his name is Vanitas, by the way. Vanitas is like, your buddy's leaving and you're never gonna see him again. And Ventus is like, what? That's my friend! And Vanitas is like, you should go after your friend. And Ventus is like, that's a great idea. And so Ventus goes after Terra. And so all three of them leave, and they are all basically chasing each other throughout the game. So this game actually has 3 separate plots. You play as each of the 3 characters separately, and there's like a final episode where you finish all their stories at once. So they're all going around. Terra's story is he goes to the Disney World and he fights with his own darkness. Aqua's story is she is looking for Terra and she sees the ramifications of Terra's darkness. And Ventus is going around and he is very dumb. And he is learning about the world. And that's kind of it. And he's a very good boy the whole time. He's a very nice good boy. So eventually we learn a little bit more about these characters. Ventus in particular. The reason Ventus is such a good, dumb boy is because he's not actually, like, whole. So that Xehanort guy, remember how he got shunned for being evil and awful? Well, the reason for that is because he wants to complete this prophecy. He wants to summon Kingdom Hearts. By the way, remember the Kingdom Hearts in Kingdom Hearts? Sorry, this is important, actually. The Kingdom Hearts in Kingdom Hearts 2 wasn't actually Kingdom Hearts. I know you might be getting deja vu because when I talked about Kingdom Hearts 1's Kingdom Hearts, that also wasn't Kingdom Hearts. The one in Kingdom Hearts 2 wasn't Kingdom Hearts either, but the one in this game, I promise, it is Kingdom Hearts. It's real this time. It's actual. It's not fake. I promise it's real and nobody's dumb this time. Okay? We're good? We're on the same page? Okay. So, Xehanort wants to summon Kingdom Hearts. And in order to do that, you need to follow a prophecy. And the prophecy basically says forces of light and dark like pure light and pure darkness have to clash. And so Xehanort picks up this kid and surgically slices the light and dark and separates them out to make 2 whole new people. One of them is Ventus and one of them is Vanitas. And they are both one is pure light and one is pure dark. And he says, you guys gotta, like, fight. Before he did that, by the way, that wasn't his first instinct. Before he surgically sliced this man in half, this little boy in half, before he did that, he actually, tortured the kid by summoning a bunch of Heartless and making him fight the Heartless. That happened too. And he was not strong enough to fight the Heartless, so he just got the shit kicked out of him repeatedly. That happened before the surgery. So anyways, Ventus's story is basically he's like meeting up with Vanitas, which is basically his dark half. And he's like, oh, you suck! In the meantime, Aqua and Terra are doing their stuff. Terra keeps, like, fucking up. He keeps getting tricked by people because he's dumb, and he's using darkness powers when he shouldn't be. And, Aqua rebuffs some guy who wants to date her. That's basically all that happens during her stuff. Eventually, they come back together. They fight a boss. They fight a boss together, and it's fun. You know, all 3 of them are together. They're in this place, and they fight a Heartless. Or it's not a Heartless. It's called an Unversed. Don't worry about it. They're different. I promise. So they all fight together, and after they're done fighting, they're like, hey, awesome, we're all fought together. And Ventus is like, this is great. Can we go to Disney World? Because he got tickets to Disney World, but he can't go with them an adult. And then, so while they're talking about Disney World, Aqua's like, hey, Terra, by the way, I noticed that some people have been talking about you and saying that you've been evil. What's up with that? And Terra's like, fuck you! You're not my mom! And he runs away. And then Ventus is like, you're awful, Aqua. And that's it's a real line that he says that comes out of his mouth that he says in the game that you can hear in the game, and it's subtitled and it's in the game, and he says it to Aqua, and he says, you're awful, Aqua. So Terra runs off. Ventus runs off because he's mad at Aqua now. Now everybody's mad at Aqua, and Aqua's just like, I am just trying to do my job. And so they split off, and the next time they see each other, Terra is fighting Luke Skywalker, Master Ericus, their boss. They're fighting. And right when Terra basically wins and, like, you know, Master Ericus is giving up, Xehanort comes over and, you know that moment in Undertale where Flowey just, like, one-shots Asgore? It's the same thing. It's the exact same bit. Xehanort just snaps his fingers and Master Ericus is like dead. And Terra's like, oh fuck, I didn't mean to do that. And then Xehanort is like, hey, come to the Keyblade graveyard. I promise it's not a trap. And Terra he sees no problem with this. After this happens, Ventus drops by and he's like, what the you kill. Actually, I don't remember if that happens. I don't remember. Ventus has been dealing with Vanitas the whole time, and not really much comes out of it. It doesn't matter. So eventually they all meet up at the Keyblade graveyard. Xehanort gets all of them to go there for different reasons. Aqua goes up to Terra and is like, is it true that you killed Master Ericus? And instead of Terra being like, no, I didn't, that would be, I fought him, but I didn't actually kill him. That was Xehanort, the bad guy. Instead of saying that stuff, Terra just goes, yeah, but I promise I'm a good guy now. And Aqua's cool with it! And Aqua's so cool with it! She's like, alright, fine, I guess. So all three of them are there, and then Master Xehanort and Vanitas show up, and they're gonna fight. So Xehanort has been like, cool, we can finally do our prophecy. Ventus and Vanitas are both here, we're gonna fight. It's gonna be great. And then Terra and Aqua and Ventus all put on their super armor. Whoa, it's like the CGI cutscene from the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, and they reenact that fight. So while this is happening, Aqua ends up fighting. She gets like stopped and has to fight this guy named Braig, who is, remember Zigbar? I very briefly mentioned him before. He's one of the members of the organization. Braig is him before he got killed and turned into a nobody. And so, are we saving the unverse for later? Or are we just skipping it? I'm mostly skipping it. So Aqua ends up fighting this guy named Braig, who's basically Zigbar before he got nobodied. He actually gets important at this point. He starts being important. So basically, Zigbar just hired this guy as a mercenary for this game, and then we can just leave it at that. But he will come back up. So remember Braig and Zigbar. Remember those names. So Aqua kicks his ass. Ventus has like a big clash with Vanitas and almost forms the Keyblade, but it doesn't quite work because Ventus loves his friends. And Terra's fighting Xehanort, and Xehanort's like, geez, I'm old as hell, and I don't really like being old. My knees hurt, my hips hurt. And so what ends up happening is Xehanort says, you know what? I'm gonna be you. And Terra's like, what? And then Terra gets possessed. And that just happens. So Xehanort possesses Terra and takes over his body. And then probably one of the cooler things in the whole series happens. Terra is so fucking like determined to not let this happen. His heart is gone, it's possessed. His body is gone, it's possessed. But Terra is so fucking like positive that he does not want this to happen that his armor comes together and his very like will, his very like emotional will comes together and takes over his armor and fights back. And that is called Lingering Will, and it's an optional boss in Kingdom Hearts 2. You fought them back then, and it was like the hardest boss in the game by a long shot. And oh, it's really cool. So Lingering Will basically kicks the ass of Terra Xehanort. We're gonna call Terranort from now on. That's Terra possessed by Xehanort. So the Lingering Will, Terra's Lingering Will kicks Terranort's ass so hard that he gets amnesia. That's not true. I think he gets amnesia later, but he gets his ass kicked really hard, and then the Lingering Will kind of like fucks off for a bit. Ventus wins his fight with Vanitas, but his heart gets like cast out in the meantime. His heart gets separated from his body, but very handily, instead of his heart getting absorbed by darkness and getting turned into a Heartless aren't really a thing now anyways. So it's not really a risk. But what ends up happening is, to keep his heart safe, a little boy who lives on a place called Destiny Islands, his heart is open, and he's like, oh, I'll keep you safe, and you can hang out with me. That little boy was named Sora, and oops, spoiler alert, the reason Roxas looks the way he does is because Sora, during Kingdom Hearts 1, had Ventus's heart in his heart at the same time the whole time. They were just there the whole time. It's really cool. So when Roxas popped out and he didn't look like Sora, Roxas looks like Ventus because they're you get it? So yeah, Sora had so remember when Sora had Kairi in his heart? That means there was Sora, Ventus, and Kairi all just hanging out in there. Also, yeah, Vanitas looks like Sora also at this point. We find out that like Vanitas looks like Sora, and we're like, what the hell? And he's also like voiced by Haley Joel Osment, which is Sora's voice actor. And the reason for that is a little bit less set in stone. It's a little less tight. Because Sora was Ventus's second chance. That's the wording they use when they explain this in game. They say that's why Vanitas looks like Sora. I think that they just want an excuse to have Haley Joel Osment do an evil voice. Not gonna lie, and honestly, it's a good because I like Haley Joel Osment's evil voice. I'm not gonna lie. Ventus is dead as hell. Terra is possessed as hell, and Aqua's a little bit like, oh shit, what do I do now? So in the post game, Aqua goes and fights Terranort so hard that he definitely gets amnesia this time. He actually gets amnesia. And Aqua before this also like puts Ventus's body in okay, this is cool. So Aqua's like, okay, I gotta fix this. So while she's looking for Ventus's heart, she takes Ventus's body and puts it away in their old like Hogwarts, right? And she leaves, and she does a super complicated spell to turn it into like basically like a non-Euclidean space. And it turns into Castle Oblivion! And that's what Castle Oblivion was the whole time. It's because Castle Oblivion looks like all fucked up and weird. It's because it's their old Hogwarts that got spun around a bunch and kind of Beybladed and Tetrised all over the place. And Ventus's body is hidden in there. So, after she's done that, she goes fights Terranort. Terranort gets amnesia, and they both start falling into hell. They both start falling into they both like get pretty fucked up in the fight, and they start falling into the realm of darkness. And Aqua, with like one last bit of energy, is like, okay, I gotta save my friend, even though he's been possessed. And she saves Terranort and sends him back up, but she falls into the realm of darkness. And Terranort is amnesiac now, and he ends up becoming he ends up becoming Ansem the Wise's apprentice. Remember from before? Yeah. So Terranort eventually turns himself into a Heartless, and basically that's where Xemnas and Ansem Seeker of Darkness came from. That was the apprentice from Kingdom Hearts 2. Remember all that? It all ties together. It all comes together. Unfortunately for Aqua, she's in hell now. She's in hell now. She doesn't leave. Sorry. She's in hell now. Weren't there secret cutscenes in one of the games about Xemnas' amnesia feelings making him... Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant to the plot. Like I said, I don't want to get in the nitty-gritty. But yeah, so that's Birth by Sleep. Interesting plot on paper. Unfortunately, I'm really not a fan of the execution. I think all the voice acting is really rough. The voice direction is pretty bad. And my biggest issue with it is just the fact that the characters, their relationship, I don't think their relationship is convincingly expressed to the player. And that would be fine if their entire stories didn't revolve around their relationships to one another, because that is the key aspect of their entire character arcs in this game. But it's not very convincing, so it doesn't do it for me. But anyways, that's Birth by Sleep. We are now going to move on to Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. Okay, everybody. All right, strap in. This is the one where it gets really, really, really weird. Oh, Duke just got me a Coca-Cola. Thank you, darling. Remember how I said that earlier? Somebody said that 358 days is when the series gets weird, and I disagreed. This is the one. This is the one where it gets weird. I promise. Oh, thank God. I really needed that hydration. I am losing it. Hold on. Now it gets weird. Yeah, so let me do a grand sort of overview, right? Because it's not that weird so far. There's Sora. He is an important boy, and he's got a lot of like connections to a lot of people, and he has the story's grand like theme has been his adventures through light against darkness. And you know, there's been a big bad named Xehanort, and Xehanort has split himself a couple of times, but you know, there's only 3 Xehanorts. There's only 3. Anyway, today we're gonna go to Dream Drop Distance. When I say there's only 3 Xehanorts, I mean, you know, there's Xehanort, and then he turned himself into Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, and he turned himself into Xemnas, right? Well, in this game, by the end of it, we'll have 13 of them, so strap in! Woo! So, Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance takes place after Sora and Riku got their letter. At the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, they got a letter, and basically they are being invited to take their Mark of Mastery exam. The same thing that got they introduced it in Birth by Sleep. They want to become Keyblade Masters, so Yen Sid is going to put them through a test. So, basically their test is Yen Sid wants to send them to a bunch of sleeping worlds. It's kind of complicated, but basically these worlds are set to repeat on an endless loop. They haven't fallen to darkness, but they're asleep, and their job is to wake them up so these worlds can exist again, because they're basically just stuck in a time loop right now, and that kind of sucks. So they go on in, and they do their adventure. Partway through, like, Ansem and Xemnas start showing up, and they're like, oh shit, what the fuck? This takes place right after KH2, like right after, like a few weeks, I think. So yeah, so Ansem and Xemnas are showing up, and they're basically just kind of like being ominous and saying, yes, keep doing this, and that's it. So what ends up happening is there's like no plot for most of the game. They kind of explain mechanics a lot because this sleeping world thing is confusing. There's like 2 versions of it. So Riku and Sora are split apart. They're in different versions of these sleeping worlds, and there's these things called Dream Eaters, which will become important later. But basically, they're kind of like Heartless, but they're made of dreams, because there's no Heartless in the Dream worlds. A lot of just like they're kind of like Pokemon, yeah, except they're also bad guys sometimes. It's a whole thing. Most of this game is spent explaining the concept of these new sleeping worlds and their internal mechanics. And it's not that important. At least at this point in the series, it doesn't really come back. Unless you subscribe to a cool theory about Kingdom Hearts 3, but we'll get to that later. So, near the end of Kingdom Hearts 3D, Dream Drop Distance, excuse me. I'm reading the title. Near the end of Dream Drop Distance here, a guy shows up. Oh boy. How do I explain this? A guy with gray hair shows up that we haven't seen before, and he says his name is Xehanort. But Xehanort's an old-ass man, and this is a young boy. And this young boy basically says, hey, you fell for our trap, dumb boy. Turns out, Xehanort can time travel. So to time travel... Oh yeah, it's not Terranort. This is a different guy. This is a totally different guy. We've never seen him before. So he can time travel. So in order to time travel, basically, your heart has to cast aside your body. Your heart has to leave, and then drop into your body at a different point in time. That is essentially how it works. So you cannot time travel anywhere. You can only time travel to points where you have previously been, and you're basically taking over your old body, right? It's really complicated. This is truly where the series does get like weird, because it's a very weird system of time travel, but it kind of makes sense when, you know, in layman's terms, like I've just explained it. So, basically, this guy, he's young Xehanort, by the way. This is young Xehanort. It's Xehanort when he was just a kiddo. He basically explains that Xehanort is back because whenever a nobody and a Heartless both die for like the same person, like the same person's nobody and their Heartless die, the regular person gets made again. And because Ansem and Xemnas are both dead, Xehanort, as in old-ass man Xehanort, is gonna come back to life. And so old-ass man Xehanort has a backup plan of time travel for if he died, which he did, where he is now going to take 13 versions of himself across time to fight in a war that will complete the prophecy and summon Kingdom Hearts for real this time. And this prophecy says that 13 darknesses have to clash with 7 lights. And that's why that's kind of why like Organization 13 was how it was. There's 13 of them because Xehanort was basically using that as a plan. He was going to make them all his vessels, and he was going to make them all his vessels and fight 7 lights with that. However, he's running a little bit low now because all of the organization people are dead. He managed to bring back some people with time travel, but he's only got so many versions of himself he can grab. So he can grab through time travel. He ends up bringing Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, Xemnas, old ass man version of him, his young baby ass version of him, and another 5th one from time that is a secret for now. And that's basically all of him. For the rest, he's got to basically possess more people and fill out those numbers. And he was going to do that with Sora. He was like, okay, Sora is kicking my ass left and right. Let's just possess him. It would make things so much easier. And so this was his grand plan. Xehanort was going to hijack their Mark of Mastery exam in these sleeping worlds, and he sent Sora into his own dream. Basically, Sora got inceptioned. Sora is in his own dream worlds right now. He's in an inception world right now. And every world he went deeper into was him going inceptioned even deeper. He was getting over and over, further and further inceptioned, to the point where he was basically unreachable now, and this was the perfect time for them to basically cover Sora up in a darkness blankie and possess him. And fuck, it worked. Sora was shit out of luck. He couldn't control himself anymore. He was done, and they were turning him into, for all intents and purposes, a possessed Xehanort clone. The only reason that he was able to survive is because Riku, through his connection to Sora, was able to enter Sora's dream world and basically go and save Sora and get in there and pull him out at the last second. And Riku also, fun fact, was a Dream Eater in this whole game. It's kind of complicated. The Dream Eaters, like I said earlier, are kind of like Pokemon in this world. And I guess through his connection to Sora, when he's in Sora's world, he's a Dream Eater. I don't really care. It doesn't fucking matter. Except it does, because they bring it up again later. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Riku goes into Sora's Dream Inception world, pulls him out at the last second, or at least tries. It's hard. Riku's having trouble. Meanwhile, while Riku's in Sora's dream world, Mickey Axel, who's back, by the way, he died and he's Lee now. Mickey Axel, who his name without the X is Lee, so we're gonna call him Lee, but he changes it again in the next game, so don't worry about it. So Mickey, Lee, and I think like one other person. It doesn't fucking matter. They go to snatch and grab Sora's body away from Xehanort, so they can't possess him, right? So they can't finish the job. And it's a pretty cool scene. Mickey has time magic, and he stops fucking time, and it's really cool. It's actually a really neat scene. Anyways, they snatch and grab Sora's body, and Riku gets him out, and yay, they save the day, but just barely. And everybody's like pissed at Sora. They're like, dude, you just like almost got turned into a Xehanort clone. What the fuck? And personally, I gotta say, I think they're being a little too hard on Sora, because he got inceptioned, and like, Yen Sid could have been watching a little closer. I'm just saying. They could have made this a little bit easier. But anyways, yeah, so Sora got inceptioned, but they took him out. He's safe. And Riku passes the exam because Riku didn't get absorbed into darkness, and Riku saved Sora, so Riku's a master Keyblade user now. Sora fails, though, because Sora sucks ass. And then the game ends. That is 358, or sorry, that is Dream Drop Distance, excuse me. It was a pretty neat story. It does get very confusing, though. But overview, Sora and Riku take their Mark of Mastery exam. Sora almost gets turned into a Xehanort clone. Xehanort is planning to make 13 versions of himself, all fight 7 light users to summon Kingdom Hearts for real this time. Okay? We're all together, right? That wasn't entirely incomprehensible. Yeah, so the actual concept of it is pretty fair. It's just the in-game explanations are really weird and they dance around it, and it could have been done better execution-wise, but it wasn't so bad. So that is Dream Drop Distance. The next game is fuck you. It's the fucking mobile game. I had to get to it eventually. I have to cover it. I can't just skip it. Because they made it really important. We have to talk about the mobile game. We actually have to talk about both mobile games, because there's 2. So, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, or actually, Kingdom Hearts Chi was when it first came out, is a mobile game made for cellular phones. And it was a gacha game, and it was just made to take money from people. However, it is also the very foundation of where the series is going forward from here, because they introduce basically all of the concepts for whatever they're going to do with Kingdom Hearts 4. They introduce it here. So basically, Kingdom Hearts Chi, or Union Cross, there are 2 different things, but I'll explain that later. So we're going to call it Chi for now, because this is when the game first dropped, and that was its original name, and the plots are slightly different, although similar. So when Kingdom Hearts Chi first dropped, the essential concept was it takes place a million, billion, trillion, gajillion years before Kingdom Hearts. How long ago before Kingdom Hearts, you may ask? Well, there was Pangea. Because yes, canonically, all the Disney worlds were not separated. They were all on a singular landmass. Open world, baby. This is fucking Kingdom Hearts Pangea. And, there is a group of folks that are leading a big old city of Keyblade wielders. There is like thousands and thousands of Keyblade wielders here. Everybody's got Keyblades. Your mom's got a Keyblade. Everybody has Keyblades at this point. And these 5 dudes and their master are basically the heads of things. So what ends up happening is the big master, his name is the Master of Masters, actually, and fun fact. The Master of Masters gets everybody together and says, hi, I have a book that tells the future forever. And they go, that's awesome, dude, what's gonna happen next? What happens on my mom's birthday? And he says, well, unfortunately, the world is going to fucking end. And they all go, that's not great. Yeah, he tells them, yep, the world is gonna end, but I've got a plan. Don't worry about it, we're gonna be okay. So he gives all 5 of these people roles, and they are to fulfill these roles according to his instructions while he leaves. They don't know where he's going, but he says he's gonna leave. But if they follow his instructions, the world will be okay. It won't end. He also creates Dream Eaters at this point. The Dream Eaters from Dream Drop Distance were actually created by him. He makes it in a little test tube. And they're very important in this game because they help basically guide the Keyblade wielders of this game. So basically how the game works is all 5 of those members create their own unions. Not a union like Amazon workers just did. Good job, New York Amazon warehouse. No, it's an organization, and basically they are all competing to gain Lux, which is a fancy word for light energy. Basically, they all want to gather as much of this light energy as they can to try and stop the end of the world from happening. And they're all going to compete against each other to increase productivity, right? And that's the basic idea behind the game. That is its gacha mechanic. Is, there's 5 teams and you're all fighting against other teams to gain the most points and blah 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 blah. So you play as yourself in this game. There is no actual there's no player character. There's no Sora. There's no Roxas. None of that. You play as yourself in this game. And it is, again, it's just a gacha game, but there are important parts to go through, but I will try and sum up the gist of it. As you're playing, your character notices that shit is going south. People are fighting. People start getting really pissy. They're like, we need to get Lux. And instead of all working together to get this Lux, they end up sort of like the competition aspect gets to their heads, and it's kind of becomes like a survival of the fittest thing. Word gets around that like things are not okay. They don't know that the world is going to end because they keep the masters keep that a secret. But they start fighting, and they start getting corrupted by darkness, and they get turned into these things called darklings, which are not heartless. I promise, they're not heartless. They're called darklings, and they're not heartless. I promise. So they start fighting, and things are getting bad, and it's a whole problem. And within those 5 masters, there's a bunch of infighting too, because before the master left, he said, by the way, one of the people in our group is a traitor. And then he just dipped out, and he's like, bye. So there's a bunch of infighting going on there too. Like they all like don't know what their roles are. It's like they're not discussing each other's salaries. Nobody knows what their actual role is, and nobody knows who the traitor is, and they're all fighting. Why did the Master of Masters do this? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because he's not such a cool guy or something. And so as they're fighting, one of them decides, okay, I gotta complete my role. I have to gather a bunch of Keyblade wielders and make a separate thing outside of the unions. They're completely separate, called the Dandelions, and they're gonna be the last chance we have if the world ends, because things are not looking good. The world, like the end of the world date is coming, and we don't have a plan really. So she starts gathering these people and saying, hey, do you want to join my secret society called the Dandelions? And this is all happening, like, she's trying to do this while everybody else is fighting, and she's trying to be a mediator to everybody else who's, like, infighting. Eventually, the world ends. Eventually, there is a massive fucking war between all the different unions. They fight each other, and even though all the masters know, like, oh shit, this is the end of the world that the master was talking about, this is what they meant, they still fight anyways, because they feel like, well, what else am I gonna do? Also, yeah, they're all children, by the way. It's a child war. Awesome! Literally thousands of children are fighting in a war and dying. It's awesome. So anyways, they're all fighting, and the world just is ending. Everybody's fucking dead. However, one of your friends from the game, his name is Ephemer, he pops his hand out of a portal and says, hey, I got you. As you're dying, as your corpse is sitting there and you are losing your life, he comes out and he's like, hey, I got you, buddy. And the game ends. Kingdom Hearts Chi is over. And then Kingdom Hearts Union Cross comes out. Kingdom Hearts Union Cross is basically you know how like they had the versions of the other games, like Recoded and Rechain of Memories? It was kind of like that. It was desktop compatible, so you weren't stuck on the mobile phone. And it was a rehash of the whole game, and the plot was the same. Except it wasn't. So this is actually really cool, and I really wish they did this outside of a mobile game because I love this idea. So the game is the same, except as you're playing, things start to happen. You start, like, some things change, like some things are happening differently like they happened in Chi, and you're like, whoa, that's different. Why did they change this? And eventually your character starts having nightmares about the ending of Kingdom Hearts Chi. What's going on? So it turns out what ended up basically happening is the ending of Kingdom Hearts Chi happened. It was real. The world fucking ended. But that one person whose job was to gather the people called the Dandelions had the brilliant idea of just saying, let's just leave to another universe. And so they did. They jumped universes. They jumped to an entirely different reality. To basically escape to the end of the world. And so this game is that other reality, and everything happens the same, except the Keyblade War never happens. It's really fucking cool. It's a parallel timeline where the world doesn't end. Union Cross ends up getting really fucking wild eventually. Like, that's a super cool idea. Your player ends up taking a backseat to the plot. We find out that some of the people from Organization 13 are here. Even though it's a million billion years in the past. We've got Marluxia shows up. Their name is Lorium now. We have, like, their pre-nobody name. Who else shows up? We've got, Larxene shows up. Her name doesn't fucking matter. She does nothing in this. A lot of people show up. And eventually, folks figure out, oh shit, we're in a different reality. Elrina, thank you. They figured out, like, hey, we're in a different reality. We gotta stop the end of the world from happening. So in this new reality, the Union leaders don't exist. The guys that were infighting before, they're gone. They don't exist. And the person who set up the Dandelions told everybody, they went around and they picked 5 new leaders, people to be the new leaders of this new universe, new Union leaders. And the people who were chosen was, oh God, I have to remember. There was, I don't know their names. Hold on. Union, Cross, new Union leaders? I don't remember. Yay, okay. Their names were, there was Ephemer, who's the kid who I talked about earlier. That was your player character's friend, in the previous game. Ephemer. There was a chick named Skuld, who, she's just a chick. Just an original character. There's very few of those nowadays, huh? There was, somebody named Brain, who was kind of sus, but their name was Brain and they were a smart person. Lorium was one of them. And, she's a girl. She's girl. Yeah, that's her character. There's Lorium, who was, eventually turns into Marluxia. And then, fucking wildly, there's Ventus. Like, Ventus Birth by Sleep Ventus. And they are the new Union leaders. They are given a copy of the Book of Prophecies, and they have to figure out how to save the world. So as the game progresses, the world is starting to glitch out, and oh God, I have to remember. I think they're in like a data world. They go to Wreck-It Ralph world and find like connections to all the other worlds. Doesn't really matter. The main focus is there is a secret entity behind the scenes that is kind of trying to tip the scales, and it is the source of why the world is going to end. So yeah, the alternate reality is data. Thank you, Alexa. So, there's this secret behind the scenes character that's trying to fuck shit up, and it is just known as darkness. It is literally the concept of darkness, but like in a person, but not even a person. It is just dark. It's like clouds of darkness. It's got like a hive mind. It's not even a single thing. It is just called darkness. And it's been killing people behind the scenes. Like, it turns out that one of the people, I think Brain, in the place was never supposed to be a member of... Oh, no, Ventus, excuse me. Ventus was never supposed to be one of the new Union leaders. It was supposed to be this other chick named Strelitzia, but she got murked. Straight up killed. She does not come back. Straight up killed by Darkness, who possessed Ventus. The Darkness possessed Ventus and had Ventus kill her, and then implanted memories of being offered like this new leader position, and that's why he's in like the leadership now. Like, some pretty wild shit going on. Anyways, they're all pissed at Darkness for fucking things up. And also, yes, Strelitzia was Lorium's sister, or Marluxia's sister. So extra sad. So basically, while this is all going down, Darkness is fucking shit up. They find these pods, and these pods are able to do time travel. They're time travel pods, yay! And they're basically like, okay, we can do some time travel to get out of this whole end of the world situation that's going on. The way they work is it's like they leave the data world, and then they go to new pods in the real world, and then those pods do the time travel. It's very complicated. It's very weird, but basically they're going to be able to get the hell out of Dodge. And the world is ending. The world is completely going to shit. And a few of them manage to get into the pods. Obviously, Lorium or Marluxia gets in the pod. Elrena or Larxene gets into one of the pods. Ventus gets into one of the pods. Of course, this is like we see them in the future, so they have to get in there. Brain, I believe, ends up being Master Ericus's like great-grandfather, if I'm remembering correctly. We just learn a bunch of stuff. So they end up getting out of the data world and time traveling out. But some people stay behind and fucking die. And I think that's Skuld and Ephemer, but I could be wrong. I don't really remember too much. But yeah, they dip out. The world ends, but they escape. The other people escape. It's a whole lot of stuff. The things you have to know is the Master of Masters is kind of a dick. Very manipulative, kind of manipulated the whole scene, the whole behind the scenes thing, but also kind of wanted all this stuff to happen. And also, he's the reason that the Book of Prophecies exists. So this book that he had that prophesies the entire reality, he made it. So what he did is he took his eye out and stuck it in his Keyblade. And he gave that Keyblade to one of his apprentices named Lushu. And Lushu, he was basically instructed to take that Keyblade and pass it on from person to person and just make sure it always was around to see what was going on. And if he did that, then the Master of Masters would get to see it all and write it all down in a book, and boom, prophecy book. He could see what happens in the future with his own eye. Lushu was also instructed to carry this box, and we don't know what's in the box. It's the Five Nights at Freddy's box. It's the same fucking idea. We don't know what's in it, and we won't until probably Kingdom Hearts 4 or fucking 5. I don't know. But yeah, Lushu was told to carry both of those around. That's the important parts. The Union leaders they show up later. They get time traveled up, but that's not really important. That's Union Cross. There's another mobile game. Luckily, this one's really easy to explain. So remember young Xehanort? This game is all about him before he became fucking evil. Basically, he and baby Master Ericus, when they're kids, they are at Keyblade Hogwarts of the past. And it's just, you just go on adventures, and young Xehanort goes from world to world and sees, you know, the influence of darkness. The creature darkness, like the hive mind darkness we talked about in the last game, is there. And that's kind of it. He's not evil yet, so you're just sort of watching him do stuff. He's friends with Ericus. You see their friends. It doesn't really matter. This game does, like, nothing. It's just some backstory for young Xehanort and what he did before he turned evil. Because at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, they try and redeem him. Spoiler alert. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts 3, we're not there yet. Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage, is a real name of a real game in the Kingdom Hearts series. It was basically a demo for Kingdom Hearts 3 that came packed up with Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance's console release. So that's why you're seeing an original soundtrack listing here, because the only like box art I could find was this like Walt Disney Records thing, because the actual box art is called 2.8 because it's Dream Drop Distance, which is 2.5 kind of, and then 0. It doesn't matter. It's a whole complicated bullshit. But here we are. So this is 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage. You play as Aqua. She has been stuck in the realm of darkness for fucking God knows how long, like 10 years. She's been in hell for a while. And you play as her, and she's fighting with her, like, psyche. She's starting to lose it. She's trying to not fall to the darkness. Her heart plays tricks on her. She starts seeing her friends in there, even though they're not actually there. Yeah, she was there for, like, 10 years, and it sucks ass. And near the end of the game, she runs into Mickey Mouse. What? And Mickey Mouse is like, "Hi, I'm in the realm of darkness, and I need to find the Keyblade here." And Aqua's like, "Sure, I guess I can help you with that. I haven't seen any Keyblades, though." And then they find a Keyblade. And then they get attacked by a bunch of Heartless, because the realm of darkness is full of those Heartless. And they accidentally break Mickey's shirt. And that's why he was topless in the first game, baby! That's why it all comes back together! Woo! And then Mickey escapes hell, but Aqua's still stuck there. Aw, sad. And then the game's over. It doesn't really, that's basically everything. It happened, literally this game takes place at like the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. So, neat. Yeah, that is legitimately why this game exists, just to tie that little loose end up. We are on to Kingdom Hearts 3, the culmination of every other game that has come before this. This is the final game in the Xehanort saga. Every game before this has had something to do with Xehanort or one of his versions, and this is the culmination of that series. So naturally, most of this game is just foreshadowing things that are going to happen in the next saga. So Kingdom Hearts 3 takes place right after Dream Drop Distance. And everybody's like, okay, well, we got a whole checklist of shit we have to deal with because all the other games were just adding more questions and not really dealing with anything, and we have to deal with it all in this game. And so naturally, you'd imagine that all of this stuff it'd be very tightly packed together. You know, you're back to back just doing important stuff. That'd be great, but they didn't do that. So Kingdom Hearts 3 starts out with basically everybody has a mission. Mickey and Riku have to go save Aqua from the Realm of Darkness, because she's been in there for 10 fucking years. And it might even have been longer for her, because time is kind of fucky-wucky in the Realm of Darkness. So, like... ugh. So she's been in there for a while, so they gotta go save her. Kairi and Axel, he's calling himself Axel again, by the way. Kairi and Axel have to go into a hyperbolic time chamber to become strong. They have a hyperbolic time chamber, by the way. This is the first time it's introduced, yes, and no, it's never brought up again. So they're training the whole game. And then Sora, his whole job is to learn the power of waking, which essentially it's something he was learning in Dream Drop Distance, but basically it's the power to wake up sleeping. He was using that to wake up the sleeping worlds, but he lost that power when he almost got turned into a Xehanort, and he has to use that to awaken a sleeping heart, because Ventus is knocked out inside of him, and also Roxas is in there, and they need to get 7 lights to fight against the 13 darknesses. They're basically making their own team right now, right? So Sora has the mission. He's got to save Roxas and Ventus, who are both stuck inside. He doesn't even know Ventus is in there yet, by the way. But we know that as viewers. So that's his mission. He's got to figure out how to fix all the hearts. He's got like 50,000 people in there, and he's got to pull them all out like spaghetti strands and untangle them all. So it starts out pretty strong. Sora goes to see Hercules. In Kingdom Hearts 2, Hercules had a very brief side plot where Hercules lost his power and then he gained it back by like fighting for something he believed in, which in this case was like his like love for Meg or whatever. So the game starts with Sora going to Hercules being like, hey, remember when that happened to you? How did you like fix that? And Hercules says, I don't know. I just kind of thought about it, I guess. So it's a pretty good start, you know, pretty basic. Maleficent and Pete are looking for the box that the Master of Masters hid. So let me just go through my notes here and see what's the next time plot happens. Okay, so about 13 hours later, Sora arrives at the Keyblade Graveyard. I'm not really skipping much. Literally, this game is like 13 hours of dead, no plot, garbage Disney stuff that sucks.
What about Frozen?
I have more. Frozen is like the littlest bit. Did you know that they play the entirety of Let It Go in the Frozen world? Like they reanimated it and everything. Like you can go Google it. It's completely from scratch. They remade Let It Go, but Sora, Donald, and Goofy are there. It's just oh man, Kingdom Hearts 3, what were you doing? So after Sora spends, you know, approximately 13 or so hours, depending on how much side content you do, playing around in Disney Worlds, Riku and Mickey, they broke their Keyblades, by the way. I did skip over that. They broke their Keyblades, and now Riku has a big car key. So they're in the Realm of Darkness, and they find Aqua. Yay! Except Aqua got turned evil. Uh-oh. Ansem hit her with a darkness ball and turned her into a Xehanort, except not really. She's not really a Xehanort, but she has the eyes, but she's just kind of evil now. And so Riku and Mickey go to beat the shit out of her, but she's got, like, super darkness powers, so Mickey gets eaten by a darkness ball. He's not dead or anything, he's just, like, in there. And then Riku goes, no, it's not, Riley. The Kingdom Hearts 3 story stuff is not really good. It has a couple of good moments. Anyways, so Riku goes to fight Aqua, and he's getting his ass kicked. He can't really do much. And then Sora, meanwhile, he's just like, gosh, I really wonder what Riku's up to right now. I'm gonna make a door to go help him out. And he drops in. He doesn't really explain it. He just drops in, and he helps out. And so Sora's like, hey, Riku, I got this. Go help out Mickey, because he got eaten by that darkness. Go help him out. And so Sora fights Aqua and beats the shit out of her. And Aqua dies, and she's like, oh shit, I'm gonna sink into the darkness now. Bye-bye. And so Sora's like, hang on, that's not okay. And Sora jumps down into the water that she's sinking in and pulls her out. So Sora pulls her out, and she's okay, and they take her to the Realm of Light, and then a really, actually very emotionally touching scene happens where they're out on Destiny Islands. They pull her out there, and she wakes up from being unconscious from getting the shit kicked out of her. She wakes up, and she's like, where are we? The Destiny Islands? When did the Destiny Islands fall to darkness? And everybody just like has a moment. They're like, you're not in the realm of darkness anymore. You're free. And she just like starts crying because she's been in there for 10 years. And it's like actually like a really good kind of quiet moment. I like it a lot. And Sora just is excited to like, you're home. It's really sweet. It's a good moment. So immediately after that, by the way, again, remember that happened 13 hours into the game. Immediately after that, they go to Castle Oblivion because they got to go get Ventus because he's in there, remember? And so they show up and Aqua, untwists the castle, turns it back into their old Hogwarts and goes inside. But Ventus is still sleeping. And Aqua doesn't know why. She's like, oh, your heart never found your body? What the hell? Then Vanitas shows up. Vanitas is in this story, by the way. He's one of the new Xehanorts in the new group. In fact, I should go over that real quick. Xehanort's new group, his 13 Darknesses. He has, let's line these up. We've got classic old man Xehanort. We've got Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. We've got Xemnas. We have young Xehanort. We have Repliku from Chain of Memories. Give it up for Repliku, everybody. We've got Vanitas. Let's see, that's 7. We've got Vexen. We've got, Vexen the scientist man. We've got Demix, the sitar-wielding fun guy who I never actually mentioned. He's a comedic relief character. Larxene, she's back. She's part of the new group. Marluxia decided to join and be there. That's 10. And then we've got, oh God, who else is there? We've got, oh boy, I can't actually remember. There's a lot of people. Oh yeah, Xigbar. Xigbar's one of them, of course. Let me think. We got Xigbar. Who else? We're missing 2. Who am I missing? Oh yeah, Terranort. Good call. Yep, Terranort. Right when Terra got possessed, Terranort came in. Syx and sorry. I think Demix and Vexen bailed, so they got replaced by Syx and Luxord. And then the final 13th one was Xion. They were like, fuck, we're out of people, and they 3D printed another Xion. They were just like, fuck it, let's just 3D print another one. And the only reason they were able to remember her is because they had her fucking CAD file on their computer, and they read the CAD file, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember now. Because they had the memories erased, remember? But yeah, they had the CAD file, woo! Because that worked so well last time. Exactly, Darren Shade. So, that's their group. That is the organization. The 13 Darknesses. For the light side, so we've got Aqua, and they're saving Ventus. Vanitas shows up, and in this very funny scene, Aqua's like, you've seen me too weak for too long. And so she's like, I'll fight Vanitas alone. And then she gets the shit kicked out of her. It's really funny, actually. And then Sora is like, fuck, what do I do? Because, by the way, Aqua was dumb and put a shield around her and Vanitas so nobody could help her if she fucked up, which she did. So right before Vanitas just kills her, Sora talks to Ventus, because Ventus is in his heart, and Sora's just like, hey, what do I do? I don't have the power of waking. And Ventus is like, yeah, you do. And Sora says, okay then, and then they just wakes up Ventus. There's nothing, none of the Disney worlds mattered. Sora just has it the whole time, and none of it mattered. So Ventus wakes up and kicks Vanitas' ass, and Vanitas is like, oh, I'm not fighting 3 Keyblade wielders, that's fucked up, and he leaves. And so, yeah, we did it, and now we go to the end of the whole game. So everybody goes to the Keyblade Graveyard, and we've got our team of light wielders. Our 7 lights are Sora, Kairi, Riku, Mickey Mouse, Axel, Aqua, wait, Ventus and Terra. Hold on, that's 8.
I don't think Kairi.
Wait a minute, hold on, does Kairi just not count? Hang on, Sora, Riku, Kairi, Axel, Mickey, that's 8. Oh yeah, Terra's not back yet. That's right. Sorry, they don't have Terra at this point. Excuse me. They don't have Terra. Excuse me. That's right. Okay. So that's their 7. Aqua, Ventus, Sora, Riku, Kairi, Mickey, Axel. That's their 7. Sorry, I forgot. Terra is still Terranort at this point. I totally forgot. Saphix, Kairi's had a Keyblade since Kingdom Hearts 2. You're way behind. So, sorry, I got confused. Yeah, Terra's not there yet. I was saying this stuff. So, our 7 Stooges are here. Donald and Goofy are there too to hang out. They're not necessary, but you know what? They just want to help, and that's okay. And so, so they have their big boss fight. Basically, Okay, so when they arrive, they fight. So like Terranort shows up and is like, "You guys are a bunch of clowns," and like instantly knocks out, I believe, Ventus, and then like just kicks a couple more people, like kicks Aqua's ass. Basically, he's just fucking up everybody. He's like one-shotting everybody, and everybody's like, "Oh fuck, how are we gonna do this?" And Donald Duck, who tagged along, says, "I gotta fix this," and casts the strongest spell in all of Final Fantasy canon, Zeta Flare, which is, I need to really like push, the strongest spell in Final Fantasy canon, and one-shots Terranort with it. Just completely vaporizes him from skin to dust. Unfortunately, it was so strong that Donald died, which is not great for Donald. So now we're down like four-ish people already, and we just started, and everybody's very, very confused at what we're gonna do next. And then a tornado of Heartless a fucking tornado of Heartless shows up. And they're all staring at it, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And this tornado just starts killing people left and right. Fucking Kyrie and Axel, dead. Ventus, dead. Aqua, dead. Mickey, dead. Everybody gets killed, like straight up dead, killed. They are gone. And Sora Sora fucking starts sobbing. And he's like, "My friends are my power. What the fuck am I gonna do?" And Riku's like, "You don't believe that, Sora. It's fine. Hey, you don't be such a goofy goober." And Riku just walks up and stabs the tornado. And he is just, like, the full force of this massive tornado that one-shot everybody else. He is just pushing it all off. And he is fighting back against it. Just because Riku believes in Sora so goddamn much. And as Riku is being, like, absorbed by shadows, he dies. Sora dies. Everybody fucking died. And then we enter the final world. There's a brief cutscene where young Xehanort and young Ericus are playing their chess game. This has been a motif for all of Kingdom Hearts 3. They, when they were kids, they used to play chess a lot, and so the game occasionally cuts to them playing chess, and it analogs the events of this game, because the idea of the 13 darknesses and the 7 lights has been like a prophecy forever, and the darknesses were always supposed to win. Probably because there's fucking 13 of them, not gonna lie. But anyways, so they cut to that, and then Ericus is basically like, that's true, but what you didn't think of is, what light has something up its sleeve. And then Ericus just cheats at chess. He just cheats at chess, and he sets up a whole new deck of guys, and he cheats at chess. And so we cut back to Sora, and Sora is fucking dead. Sora is in heaven. It's called the Final World, and it is described as the place where hearts go when they are just too goddamn determined to not die. So Sora is straight up dead, but he was so determined to not die that he got to stay in heaven for a while. It's more like limbo, actually. It's not really heaven, it's like limbo. He walks around for a bit, he's totally alone. You get to talk to some like spirits of like other people, and it's a really well written sequence. It's just a bunch of like little vignettes of like other completely original like little stories. You get to hear people about their connections with people, and they died and they don't really understand why they're here, etc., etc. You also talk to, I believe, Naminé. Yeah, you talk to Naminé briefly, and Naminé's like, "Shit, that sucks. I'll help you out. Sorry you died." And you also talk to some other person who's nameless, and they're not important yet, but they'll be kind of important in the next game. And then they'll be very important probably in the game after, but that hasn't come out yet. So, they patched in being forced to talk to Naminé. Was that patched in? That's funny. Anyways, I'm not on the last game, actually. There's one more after this. It's very brief, though. There's 50 minutes of cutscenes, versus Kingdom Hearts 3 is like 13 hours of cutscenes, so we'll be fine. So anyways, Sora has to basically piece himself back together here in Limbo. He got lucky in that he was so determined to not die. He actually got to keep his, like, form. Most people are just hearts up there. Not even hearts. They're just souls, basically. They're like little stars. They are just their souls. Because souls are like a separate concept in the Kingdom Hearts world. So, So yeah, so Sora walks around and he's piecing himself back together, and eventually he's all good. And then Sora has to trace the hearts of his friends and get them back. And he basically traces their hearts, and there's like a heartless Grim Reaper that's got them, and he has to fight the Grim Reaper off in a bunch of different worlds, and basically get all his friends' hearts back. And it's like the ultimate dive to the heart, because he's literally diving into everybody's hearts. It's cool. Dive to the heart is like a thing in Kingdom Hearts. It's been there since the first game. It's sort of a tutorial world, but it's always called the dive to the heart because it's inside your heart. And anyways, it's a whole thing. And eventually Sora does it, and he saves all his friends' hearts. And then they time travel. Again, there's a lot of time travel in this series. They time travel to right before they died. And this part's kind of weird because nobody mentions the fact that they died. They act exactly the same. And in the next cutscene, Terranort shows up and still like one-shots a couple people, like as if they had learned fucking nothing. But shortly after, somebody like makes a remark about how they died the first time. So it's very complicated and weird, and I don't get it. But what ends up happening is they walk up, Terranort is still there, and they still fight. The exact same cutscene plays, except before Ventus can get one shot, like Ventus is about to get hit, somebody hits and stops Terranort's Keyblade. And would you fucking guess, it's Lingering Will. The fucking armor, Terra's like core, his will, his armor from Birth by Sleep, and the secret boss from Kingdom Hearts 2 shows up. Naminé, that Sora talked to, basically called out for Lingering Will and was like, hey, these guys need help. So Lingering Will kicks Terranort's ass sideways, uses, and in fact, he uses some of the abilities that like the Kingdom Hearts 2 super boss used on you, and it's a really cool moment, and he shoots like a big ass laser at him. It's great. It's actually hype as hell. Yeah, it's great. So Lingering Will kicks his ass, and then kind of fucks off to nowhere. We see in the DLC that he died later on, but at this point we don't know where he went. He just kind of fucked off to nowhere. So after that happens, Xigbar, who remember he's one of the Xehanorts. Xigbar shows up with Vanitas, and everybody's getting ready to fight, and Xigbar's like, we gotta make sure you're not walking into another blunder, which is the thing I mentioned where he sounds like, it's like, how do they know that they died? I don't understand. But anyways, so Xigbar shows up, and they're like, we gotta make sure you're not gonna just die again. And so they summon the Heartless Tornado again. And so everybody's like, oh shit, what do we do? And so Yen Sid drops down. Fucking Yen Sid drops down and uses a like light wall. He uses a Moses parting the Red Sea shit. And he's like, run, you fools. And he tells them to go. And Donald and Goofy hang back to protect him. So they book it through this Heartless Tornado, and they make it out. And it's a fun moment. It's very good. He does something. It's fun. So they run forward, and Xehanort's like, okay, well, I haven't had enough fun yet, and I want to drag this on. So Xehanort makes a big maze, because Xehanort has some cool powers. He makes a giant maze for everybody to fight in separately for some reason. And so basically everybody gets separated, and this is just a way for them to have like satisfying conclusions to everybody's individual arcs. So like what ends up happening is like Axel and Kyrie are fighting Xemnas and Cyax and Shion. And that part's great. I'll get to everything individually, but like everybody's basically fighting people on their own individual arcs. And a lot of stuff happens here. So Sora goes and helps everybody, and you get to see everything unfold. And some pretty cool stuff happens. So when you're helping Mickey and Riku fight, like as you kill the evil Repliku, when Riku was in the Realm of Darkness, he actually like kind of hooked up with his old actual Repliku self. So Repliku's soul, like the real Repliku, pops out and fights the time travel Repliku, and they fight, I guess. It's fun. It's a decent moment. It's cool that they brought Repliku back from Chain of Memories, because that character was neat. Who else? Well, What else? What else? Mickey doesn't get anything. Let me think. The Birth by Sleep trio get a pretty cool moment. So if you have been watching my streams for a long time, you may remember Come Guardian. Come Guardian is so in Kingdom Hearts 1, Ansem Seeker of Darkness had like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stand, right? And he would always yell, "Come Guardian," right, to have him fight. Come Guardian, I love him so much. Turns out, Come Guardian was not just a funny Heartless that Ansem could control. So when the Birth by Sleep crew is fighting, Terranort uses like their bonds, like a magically infused chains, which are their literal bonds manifest, to basically flip them around and give them whiplash and knock them out unconscious, right? And he's using Come Guardian for this. And eventually, as he's about to kill them, Come Guardian swoops out and saves them. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Come Guardian beats the shit out of Terranort and tears the bandages off his face. And whoa, turns out Come Guardian was actually Terra's fucking soul the whole time. That was Terra turned into a Heartless. And Terranort was just controlling him. And he basically took his control back there. And it's a really cool moment. And then he like speaks, and he's like, it's all raspy because he's never talked in the Heartless form before. It's a really cool moment. And then Sora zaps Terra out, zaps the Xehanort, like kills the Xehanort part of Terranort, and Terra's back, basically. Terra is back, and he's a human again, and everybody's happy. And
Come Guardian!
There's Come. Fuck, I forgot to change the, hold on. I forgot to change the icon.
$6.90.
Everybody stay still. This is important. I forgot to bring Come Guardian back.
Gotta put it on.
I'll make sure everybody gets to see Come Guardian. Don't worry. Hold on, everybody. Bear with me. I forgot to fix Come Guardian. Because it broke at some point. Where the fuck? Oh, right. Oh, here we go. I found it. That was for the $6.90, right? Where even is that? Bear with me, everybody. I'm looking for it. Here it is. Okay. Come Guardian's back, and I'm gonna replay that thing so we get to see it.
Come Guardian!
Yeah, it's Come Guardian!
Brawl Stream Team has summoned Come Guardian and donated $6.90.
Awesome. Yeah, that's Come Guardian. Anyway, sorry. So, what else happens? So that happens with the Birth by Sleep trio. Basically, everybody's getting like their arcs completed, right? So, Axel and Kyrie are fighting Xemnas and Syx, and the reason Kyrie's there for her arc, by the way, is because she got captured by Xemnas and Syx in Kingdom Hearts 2, so, you know, it makes enough sense for her to be there. But the main thing here is Axel, because Xion is also fighting them, and Axel's fighting Xion. So what ends up happening is Xemnas and Syx kick everybody's asses, just sideways, and Xemnas is making fun of Axel. Xemnas is just clowning on him. And his voice actor is great, and he's like, "Ever the rogue pawn." He's great. I love Xemnas. And Axel does this really kind of embarrassing, kind of shitty line, because I didn't mention Axel's Deadpool in this game. They decided to turn him into Deadpool comedic relief. It's not good. So anyways, so Axel's like, "Hey, you can't kill me. Do you know how many people like me? Nobody acts as Axel." It's a really annoying scene. But anyways, Xemnas, thankfully, makes the scene come back to normal. You know, come back to fucking reality. Because Xemnas says, "What the fuck are you talking about? Is this supposed to be a Keyblade?" He breaks Axel's Keyblade in half and then shoots Axel with 1,000,000 lasers. It's like instant retribution for that shitty line that Axel said. Anyways, so yeah, that happens, and then right as Xemnas is about to finish him off, Xion grabs Xemnas' lightsaber. Xemnas has lightsabers, by the way. Xion grabs Xemnas' lightsaber and is like, "Hey, we need him to not be dead." And then Xemnas is like, "I think that it's fine that I can kill him a little bit." And then Xion is like, then Xemnas is like, "Oh, I get it. You two used to be friends. Fine, then you kill him." And a couple things happen, but eventually she refuses, and she gets thrown back, and her hood gets like pulled back, and then Axel sees her, and then the memories come back, and he remembers her again, and he's like, "Whoa, Shion!" And he like because remember, if you remember, everybody forgot who Shion was. So anyways, Xemnas is about to finish off Axel, and then right at the last second, Roxas teleports in, and the music swells, and it's a beautiful moment. It's fantastic. And then like Roxas, they're like, "How did you get here?" And then Roxas has a kind of bullshit explanation for how he teleported in, but it doesn't matter. There's a cool moment, and that's all anybody cares about. And then there's an awesome boss fight where Roxas just beats the shit out of Syx. You can just like stand in the background, and Roxas will carry the whole fight for you. It's great. So they all have a sad moment. They all hug, and they're all finally back, and there's no caveats. They're all back, and they have hearts, and it's great. What else happened? I think that's basically everything. Oh, wait, no. Am I missing something? I don't think so. So, yeah, that's basically what ends up happening. After all that, Sora, Riku, and Mickey fight Xemnas, Ansem, and Big Xehanort. Oh, sorry, and Young Xehanort. They fight. They kill them all. Eventually, everybody is dead except for Big Xehanort, but Big Xehanort doesn't give a shit, because he's winning. He's got 12 of his Keyblades. He's got 12 of the fights have happened. But Sora, Riku, and Mickey are all just like, well, what if we just like don't fight you? And then you won't end the world. And so Xehanort says, that's a good point. What if I do this? And then he kills Kairi, just straight up kills her, shatters her into a million little pieces. So Sora goes berserk and goes and fights him. But uh-oh, that completes the prophecy. And now Xehanort's, he's doing a bunch of crazy shit. He's ending the world. He summons Kingdom Hearts. It's a big old bad thing. So Riku, Mickey, and Sora are like, oh shit, we need a backup plan, like now. And so they're like, okay, let's trace the connection of Xehanort's heart. Oh, by the way, Xehanort like leaves. He leaves at this point. So they're like, okay, Mickey, Riku, and Sora are like, okay, let's trace the connection of his heart, like what Sora did earlier. Use the power of awakening to basically zip over to him. And they do that, and they end up in this place called Scala ad Caelum, which is just, it's the old place that used to be the Hogwarts for all the Keyblade wielders in the universe. Anyways, so they chase him down, there's a big old boss fight, and they eventually win, and they kill him, and he then redeems himself. He's like, I was actually just trying to be a good guy the whole time. And then it turns out Luke Skywalker, Master Ericus, was living in Terra's hair the whole time. So Terra's hair swooshes, and then Master Ericus comes out as a Force ghost and gives Xehanort a big old hug, and then they walk off to heaven together. And that's the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3. They all win, except Kairi's dead. So Sora's like, I'm gonna go find Kairi. And he does, but everybody's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that, because you'll if you use the power of waking too much, you'll disappear forever or something. And Sora ends up basically sacrificing himself to find Kairi. Kairi's back home at the end, but Sora is gone and dead or something. They don't know where he is. And that's Kingdom Hearts 3. However, that's not all of Kingdom Hearts 3, because Kingdom Hearts 3 had a DLC. And the plot of it's called Remind. The plot of the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC is Tetsuya Nomura realized that his ending sucked and was a little bit rushed. And so they made a new DLC to redo the whole thing. So remember the time travel that Sora did? We're going to do a whole bunch more. So this is the story of how Sora saved Kairi. So basically, Sora talks to Chirithy, who I have not even talked about once, but basically is one of the Dream Eaters that helped the player character in the Union Cross mobile game. Doesn't really matter. But essentially, Sora does time travel by doing a reverse power of waking. So the power of waking is not really explained. It was kind of just to wake up people's hearts, but it also has the ability to follow people's hearts to like basically warp to them, right? So Sora's going to do this in reverse or something to basically time travel to all his buddies and trace their hearts to find Kairi so he can find her heart and put it back together. And he does this. He ends up fighting a few people. He fights Terranort right after Lingering Will dies. He fights just a few people. You replay all of the fights from the ending of the game, but this time you get to play as the characters Like, you can play as Roxas or whatever. You can play as Aqua. It's fine. Is it like the Nort time travel stuff? Sort of. So instead of going to his own body, he's like going into the hearts of his friends. It's very weird. But yeah, he does a bunch of jumping around into people's hearts, and he's just like hanging out in their hearts until he needs to pop out and change time. Basically is what he's doing. He like sits and waits, and the cutscenes play out as normal, but then he jumps in and changes things. Like in the Roxas cutscene, for example, he hops out and helps Roxas and friends like get a thing that is not really plot relevant. Just excuses to have him pop out and change things a little bit. Basically just changing the ending to be a little bit more satisfying across the board. Literally, it is just them being like, oh, our ending kind of sucked. They just retconned stuff. So Sora continues doing that. Eventually, Sora ends up getting all of Kairi's pieces of her heart. But actually, right before that, okay, so because Sora did so much time travel stuff, Xehanort basically opens up portals. I played this the other day, but I also skipped a lot of cutscenes, so I'm trying to remember. Xehanort opens up portals to, like, every world ever, and just flings everybody over into them. He flings them into space, basically. Sora's not here at the moment, because Sora's busy doing time travel, so you're looking at this through Mickey's point of view. So everybody's cast aside, and Mickey's like, oh, fuck. Mickey's the last one that's, like, actually near Xehanort. And so Mickey's also crazy wounded, though. And so Mickey is walking towards the, like, one of the portals to try and connect a light to try and save his buddies and bring them all back. And there's this emotional moment where you play as Mickey, and the music swells, and he walks very slowly along a thing. It's very cinematic. It's very nice. He shoots his little Keyblade laser out through the portal. It's very reminiscent of Kingdom Hearts 2 when you open up the worlds. He basically does that. And he does that. He connects everybody, and Sora uses this as an opportunity to bounce around, and Sora does a little time travel to like, hey, Mickey, you got this. I got the rest of it. Sora connects with his light every single world. He shoots a beam. That beam that unlocks the worlds, he just shoots that and like ricochets it through every world that exists. And basically is using this to find his friends, I guess, and kind of like reach out to them. And then they all shoot their lights back so Sora can know where they are, and they all get portaled back in. It's great. So everybody's back together, and Mickey's no longer wounded, I guess, for fun. But Xehanort has a bunch of clones of himself. It's unexplained. You fight them in the main game, but he just has them for some reason. I think they're replicas. He made like extra. He's like backup replicas, I think, of himself. It's really weird. They don't explain it. But anyways, they're all wearing goat costumes. It's like, I'm not even. Hold on, hang on. I gotta like pull this up. I'm not making this up.
It's his persona.
It's his persona. Like, KH3 replicas Xehanort. He has a bunch of like Yeah, this is what they look like. And they're wearing like goat armor. This is the scene we're at right now. So I'll open. That's a cutscene. Hang on. So this happens up here. He's got a bunch of like replicas of himself, and everybody's back, and they're all fighting as a group, and it's a cool moment. You get to like play as everybody at once, basically, or you press X and they all attack, and you have to block at the right time. And they use Reflect, which is a spell that wasn't in the game, but it was really overpowered in Kingdom Hearts 2, so it was kind of cool to see it come back as like everybody at once is using it. It was neat. So they're fighting all the goats, and eventually Sora gets the last little piece of Kairi's heart that got shattered and puts it back together and brings her back to life. And Sora and Kairi fight together to finish off Xehanort for good. They do a super laser, and then the time travel finishes and it cuts back to a cutscene of the original game's ending. So I'm not sure where that lines up, because Donald and Goofy were there in the original ending, and they're there now. It just cuts back to a cutscene of the original ending. It's very weird. But anyways, so that all happens. And it is just a long way of kind of fixing the ending to be a lot more entertaining, and then an explanation as to how Sora found and saved Kairi. That's all that is. So, to recap, Kingdom Hearts 3 ends off the Xehanort saga. They save the world. Sora is missing now. They don't know where he is, because after his time travel shenanigans, he just sort of disappeared. And everybody's like, okay, we gotta find Sora now. And the game ends with Riku promising to find Sora. There's a little bit of like extra content that's very minimal, where basically Riku talks to some Final Fantasy characters to try and find a clue as to where Sora is, but it doesn't really go anywhere. The only important part is that Riku has been having dreams of him waking up in a city with tall buildings where everything is kind of weird. And if there's a secret ending to the game and you look at it, it looks like Shibuya from The World Ends With You, but it's, or from real life actually. But it looks like the alternate version of Shibuya from The World Ends With You, which is an alternate version of Shibuya from real life. But anyways, it's not either of those, so it doesn't even matter, but it looks like that. And Riku's been having those dreams, and that's the only thing you need to know. And that's Kingdom Hearts 3. Sora's missing. One more game came out. After Kingdom Hearts 3, very shortly after, actually, they released a rhythm game, and it has lore. Kairi decided that while Riku goes and looks for Sora, she's gonna go to sleep for a whole year. She literally goes to sleep for an entire year. This game takes place a year after Kingdom Hearts 3. And then they find out that, nothing. So I think Kairi finds out a grand total of nothing. She just plays a bunch of rhythm games, and she talks to Xehanort. Oh yeah, I remember. She talks to like a memory of Xehanort that gives her a hint and is basically just like, yeah, Sora's not in light or dark world or anywhere. He's in between or not even between. It's complicated. And then Riku comes down and is like, hey, I've been having dreams of this weird world. And then the fairy godmother from Cinderella shows up and is like, guys, you're never gonna fucking figure this out, so let me just answer it for you. We're gonna go to the final world, okay? Let's go, come on. And she teleports them all. And remember that nameless star from Kingdom Hearts 3? It basically says, yeah, that place you're describing, it sounds like this place called Quadratum, which is where I used to be. And that's probably where Sora is. And that's it. And they figure out that between Vexen and Ansem the Wise, they surmise that this world is not of light or darkness or between, or the world of dreams or the world of data. None of those, which are all existing worlds. It's none of those. It is supposed to be outside of our reality. It is unreality or fiction, is where they say Sora lives. This world that he's in the world of fiction. What does that mean? Awesome question, that is. Find out in Kingdom Hearts 4. When's it coming out? I don't know. They haven't told us. So that is Kingdom Hearts 3. Sorry, that was Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. And with that, that is all of the Kingdom Hearts games. That is every single one of them. Massive recap. I couldn't, actually. I don't know. Boy goes across worlds and stuff. What about Yozora? Okay, fine. I'll mention one more thing about Yozora. Oh, and the Zigbar thing. Okay, hold on. I missed a couple of small things. I'm sorry. I missed a couple of small details. Okay. Let me back up. I missed a little bit of details. So the small details I missed. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a secret ending where it's revealed that Zigbar is actually Lushu. Remember the Master of Masters, like, his apprentice? Yeah, that Zigbar is Lushu. So that gets a thing. And then Zigbar also, like, time travels all of the old Union Cross, like, leaders, the guys who wear furry masks, brings them in, and they ask, why are we here? And they don't answer it because we'll find out in Kingdom Hearts 4. And at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3's DLC, you fight a guy named Yozora, and it's just more questions. That you know what? It would be easier if I literally just show you the cutscene, because it's not even like information. It's just like a question that they just show you something interesting. Hold on. Let me just show you the cutscene because it's like 2 minutes long. Hang on. It's literally 2.5 minutes long. So like, we'll just watch it. Because I could not, if I tried, oops, wrong one, hold on. I could not, if I tried, explain this, like, effectively to you. So yeah, this is the final fight. You beat this guy named Yozora in Quadratum. And then this happens.
I guess that my powers aren't needed yet.
What do you mean?
Never mind.
His delivery there. Never mind. His fucking delivery is really funny there. Is that the guy like from Final Fantasy 15? Nobody is deliberately supposed to look very similar. It's not really connected to the lore of Kingdom Hearts at all, but basically Nomura was making a game, and then Square Enix made him stop making the game. And then Nomura was really sad about that, so a lot of the plot-relevant stuff from that game is getting squished into Kingdom Hearts now.
Commander.
Impressive, is it not?
Sounds like the fucking medic from TF2. Who's Rajman Gaming? That doesn't happen in the cutscene.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately.
Oh yeah, this scene is cool actually.
Like, is any of this for real or not?
That part's sick as hell because that's
None of this.
that's part of Sora's
sense to
like
me.
little quote he says before Kingdom Hearts 2 starts. Or is it 1 or 2? One of the two. Kingdom Hearts! Yeah, so that's the end of that. It's honestly, it's pretty fucking tight that he's saying that, like, that quote from Kingdom Hearts 1. Because that's the first line of the whole game. Like, let me just... KH1 intro. Like, this is the... You boot up Kingdom Hearts 1 and this happens. Let me forward it a little bit. Come on, Sora. Say the thing.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately.
His voice has changed so much.
Like, is any of this for real or not?
So it's really cool how they connect it like that. I'm actually like super into that. But yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts. I don't think I missed anything. I will now take questions. Does anybody have questions? Did I miss anything? What's up? Because I went through a lot. It's hard to capture everything. Like I said, I didn't want to go through the nitty gritty details of every single game, but I wanted to cover the actual overarching plots. What about Sephiroth? Not plot relevant. Why did they do KH3 like that? Because Nomura really wants to get to the next arc and doesn't care about this one anymore. Who's Mickey? Disney.
Sweetheart,
Yes, Duke?
can you rank a look?
The Sora lookalike? What are you talking about?
Like Sora,
I don't know who you're talking. What do you mean lookalikes? Vanitas is the only one who looks like him.
no, but like Vanitas, Roxas.
Oh, I get. Well, I mean, it's the people who are effectively
Yeah.
Sora also. Okay,
Rank the
fine.
Soras.
Hang on. I need a. Okay, Duke wants me to rank the people who are also technically Sora, so we're gonna do that. Zoom in a little bit here. What is this canvas size? All right, here's the deal. Here's the deal. We got S, B, no, A, B, F, because it's probably gonna be like that. All right, out of the Sora people who are technically Sora, we're gonna draw them by their hair. Roxas and Shion are S tier. Sora, don't really have his hair color here. Sora is A tier. That's Sora's hair. Vanitas is also A tier. His hair's bigger than Sora's for some reason. Ventus isn't technically Sora, but we'll put him on here anyways. Ventus can be B tier. He can be higher if they do more with him, but he's currently just a dumb boy, and that's fine. But he doesn't do much. Who else is technically Sora? Is that everybody?
The little heartless.
Oh yeah, little heartless Sora is S tier. Actually, hold on.
Double S.
Yeah, we need like an SS tier. Hold on. SS plus tier is little heartless Sora. Does Namine count? Namine is Kairi's nobody. Namine doesn't count.
Kairi count?
No, Kairi doesn't count. Kairi's not Sora at all.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
He swapped souls with.
No, they're not the same. No. Who's that evil Sora? That's Vanitas. Vanitas is right here. Namine is Sora's nobody. No, Namine is Kairi's nobody. Oh, Yozora? Yeah, Yozora. Yozora is interesting. I'll give Yozora like a B tier. What does Yozora's hair look like? It's like gray. It's pretty good, actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. Namine was created when Sora became heartless. Namine is Kairi's nobody. That's like explicit. Namine was made when Kairi's heart was released from Sora's body. Exactly. Yes. But that doesn't make Namine Sora. Fine, I'll put Namine on the list. Fine, I'll put Namine on the list. What color is Namine's hair? It's like blondish, right?
Yeah, it's just.
Namine gets like B tier. Okay, there. I don't think anybody gets F tier. I don't think any of the Soras are F tier.
I'll rank the.
I'm not ranking the Norns. I'm not doing that. It's like, no. All right. Back to the questions. Genuinely, is there any questions, or did I cover that pretty well? What do y'all think? I hope they do more with Namine. That'd be nice. They like, at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, they said they were bringing her back. I think there was a cutscene where she came back. Didn't say anything in Melody of Memory, though. All right, I think that's everything, everybody. Okay, yeah, so let's talk about the Toy Story thing. So Toy Story opens up with like a trailer for a fake video game called VRM Rex. And the Yozora is the character from VRM Rex, but it's not actually connected. The reason that happens is because Yozora doesn't actually look like the Yozora we see. And I don't know why he looks like that, but it's not actually, that's not actually what he looks like. VRM Rex is basically Nomura's way of putting Final Fantasy 13 verses into Kingdom Hearts. At least at the current moment. Maybe that'll change, but as it stands, VRM Rex was just a video game, and Yozora that we saw happened to look like that. Will there be a test on this? The test is, what do you remember? Let me think. If his friends are his power, aren't all his friends technically part of Sora? No! People kept mentioning The World Ends With You. Yeah, okay, so The World Ends With You is, there's a part where it's canon to Kingdom Hearts in the same way that the Disney worlds are canon to Kingdom Hearts, where it's like, yeah, the events happened, but like, it's kind of whatever. Like, yeah, The World Ends With You it does take place in Dream Drop Distance. Like, the characters are in it, and they talk about their game and all that. But it's like, it's very much sidelined, and it's taken with the exact same amount of care that the Disney worlds are. When does Cloud show up? Cloud shows up in Kingdom Hearts 1, and then in Chain of Memories, he's a card attack, and then in Kingdom Hearts 2, and I think he stops after that. Yozora mentions going through a game in the city that looked like Shibuya. When does that happen? Whoa, Animator and Alex and Alexa basically just said the same thing at the same time. That's cool. Ooh. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. This is very key. Remember how in 358 Days, I mentioned that all the nobodies can't feel emotions, and that's why they wanted to have Kingdom Hearts. But why did Roxas, like, and Axel and Xian, how are they friends? Dream Drop Distance reveals that nobodies can grow hearts, basically. And this is something that happens a lot through the series. Like in Recoded, the Data Sora develops his own heart separate from Sora's. Basically, anybody who is a person can get a heart eventually. So that's something important to mention. So is the Keyblade relevant enough to be explained? Honestly, fucking no. I feel like the Keyblade was just a dropped concept. Okay, so the Keyblade, that is spelt with an X, that was part of the prophecy. Basically, all it was just like the tool to summon Kingdom Hearts. It was kind of just a dropped concept, but Birth by Sleep, the clash between Vanitas and Ventus was supposed to create the Keyblade. Which, yeah, I'll show it.
It
Again,
pisses me off
that's
so
spelled
fucking
X-Blade.
bad.
That's spelled X-Blade.
It makes me so angry.
Yeah,
every single
let me
time.
pull it up. This is the oops, let me zoom that out. This is the Keyblade over on the right. This stupid thing. This Keyblade, this one here is what Sora and Riku use in Dream Drop Distance, but it currently has no lore connection. It's just there for fun. This is the half Keyblade that gets made in Birth by Sleep. Yeah. Yeah, it was just sort of the tool that was going to be used to summon Kingdom Hearts, but it's kind of useless. What else? Somebody else saw a good, added a good question. I mentioned a Kingdom Hearts 3 theory at some point. Yeah, so there's a really interesting theory that basically Kingdom Hearts 3, that everything after Sora's little time travel moment takes place in a sleeping world, in like a dream world. Or actually the entire game takes place in it. It's complicated, and I could not explain it to you myself because I'm not as familiar with it. But basically, the idea is it would explain why there's a sequence in the game where Sora teleports to Riku, which is an identical move to one in Dream Drop Distance, where you could teleport to one of your Dream Eaters. And it would only make sense that Sora could use that move if they were in the Dream World, because Riku is one of Sora's Dream Eaters. It's a whole thing. I am not familiar enough with it to explain it, but that is the gist of it, is that the game takes place in a sleeping world. After the time travel Who Dilly. Is it ever explained what Kingdom Hearts is exactly or where it comes from? Yes. Okay. So, yeah. So, Kingdom Hearts it's not really explained exactly what it is ever, but the idea is that if it is summoned, the end of the world will follow suit with it. And that's about it. Kingdom Hearts 1, that Kingdom Hearts is just the door to darkness. It's totally a mistake. Kingdom Hearts 2, their Kingdom Hearts is fake. The only real Kingdom Hearts that gets shown is in Kingdom Hearts 3, and it doesn't really get explained. Yeah, it is basically just a source of extreme power is all you really need to know. What else? Did I say why Ventus had that much darkness in him? Oh yeah, Ventus gets like possessed. Well, no, I did. Yeah, Ventus got possessed by the creature Darkness in Union Cross. I said that. Do I think the Kingdom Hearts games will get better or worse? That's actually a really good question. I don't like Kingdom Hearts 3. I think it has a couple of really good, like truly some like I cry more in Kingdom Hearts 3 than any other Kingdom Hearts game, except for maybe 358 Days. However, I don't like it as a whole. I think the actual game is very messy. It's poorly paced. It has a lot of just shitty moments, and more of the game is dedicated to hyping up the next arc than is dedicated to actually just like letting this arc end. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 is not my favorite in the series by far. I think its raw gameplay is really good, but it's never, it's not actually like, its raw gameplay is good, but it never actually, like the gameplay doesn't get, it's fundamentally broken is the problem. And the DLC brings it to its best, like uses it the best way, but it's still fundamentally broken in a lot of ways. However, I think the team behind Kingdom Hearts that's currently working on it, they have been open to criticism, and they have been slowly improving on the stuff that they've been doing. So when it comes to gameplay, I have high hopes. I think we'll get some weird spin-offs, and it's not always going to be great, but I think that they can figure it out. The DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3 was really tight, and if they can keep that up, that'd be awesome. When it comes to story, I don't know. I'd like to hope that Kingdom Hearts 4, or whatever it's called, has a better story, because Tetsuya Nomura seems really excited to get to the next game, because he's been hyping it up since the mobile game, right? Like, he's been hyping up this next arc for ages. And the mobile game, even though it was delivered shitty, was actually written quite well. It was an interesting thing. And so, yeah, I have high hopes for future Kingdom Hearts games, but that is a mistake, and I don't think that you should think the way I do. Who do I think is Nomura's favorite character? It's Xehanort. Nomura said in an interview once that he doesn't think Sora is... he hates Sora, and he thinks Sora is his enemy, and he relates more to Xehanort than anybody else. That's a real interview that Nomura had. Very weird for the game director to say that, but yeah, that's real. Do I think Pete and Maleficent will find that box and become the main villains again? No. I think Pete and Maleficent will become sidelined forever. I'm not even kidding. I don't... They're not going to be the ones to find the box. They might have like a side game where they get to be in front and center, but I don't think they'll ever be main villains again. I would love to see them as main villains because Maleficent is actually like a very interesting character in these games. But yeah, why did they collect Flux in the mobile game? The Flux was, or I think it was Lux, is what it was called. And basically, it's just a long story short. It is light. It is the idea of light energy, and they were just trying to collect that energy to stave off the end of the world. But it didn't work. What else did I say? Which one is my fave, actually? Were we talking about, like, games? My favorite game is Kingdom Hearts 2, pretty easily. I think it is the best gameplay, and it has a good enough story where I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's the best story, but I do think it's the best gameplay. And the story is, like, it's good enough where I say, yeah, it has the most overall quality for me. What's my favorite world in each of the main games? That's a good question. In Kingdom Hearts 1, I think my favorite world is Halloween Town. In Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, the worlds don't matter, so I don't really have one. Kingdom Hearts 2, my favorite world would be... Let me think. In Kingdom Hearts 2, I think my favorite... Also, I'm not counting Hollow Bastion in Kingdom Hearts 1, because that's like... Well, I could count it. I still don't like it anyways. I prefer Halloween Town to Hollow Bastion anyways. Sorry, anyways, for Kingdom Hearts 2, I think my favorite world would be... That's a good question. Let me think of all the worlds that are in the game. Kingdom Hearts 2 actually has quite a few worlds. Probably Pirates of the Caribbean, because Kingdom Hearts 2's Pirates of the Caribbean actually makes use of the elemental statuses of your spells, which no other world does. It's pretty good. It's got some decent boss fights, too. What else? Kingdom Hearts... What comes after that? 358 Days. Again, the worlds don't matter. Dream Drop Distance... I guess just, like, straight-up Traverse Town with the Twebby characters. Dream Drop Distance's worlds didn't do much for me. And in Kingdom Hearts 3, my favorite world is... None of them. I fucking hate Kingdom Hearts 3. No, actually, jokes aside, it would be the very first one. It would be Olympus Coliseum. Because it's the only world that actually, like, it actually is, like, they're doing interesting stuff and connecting the story to the gameplay. Are you insane for thinking Frozen is the best world in Kingdom Hearts 3? Yes. Yes, you are. Frozen sucks. I don't think Frozen is the worst in Kingdom Hearts 3, though. This is going to be a hot take. I think Toy Story's world is the worst. Kingdom Hearts 3's Toy Story world is... The problem I have with Kingdom Hearts 3's Toy Story world is it's very open, but it doesn't guide you where you need to go very well, and things just... Like, stores will just open arbitrarily when you need to go into them, and so I get lost every time I play it. And there's also a lot of shitty minigames in the Toy Story world, like... The mechs are just annoying and I don't like them. Yeah, I do not like the Toy Story world at all. And the final boss sucks. I think the doll boss you fight is kind of neat, except it's just balanced really poorly because there's so many other Heartless that are tracking you in the arena that you don't really get to focus on the boss itself. Yeah, not a big fan of the Toy Story world. Intro themes ranked. They're all basically the same, so I can't do that. But Birth by Sleep is the best intro theme. What else? Hold on. I've got a lot of, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling back on questions. Yes, Lushu did have the box at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 when he summoned the Foreteller, so Lushu has that now. Let me see. They'll give Maleficent a redemption arc for some reason. They probably will, honestly. Sorry, I'm just catching up on all the chat.
Oh, complain about Mickey's actor.
Okay, fine. I'll complain about Mickey's voice actor. Okay, so Mickey's new voice actor is dog shit. So Mickey's voice actor for the first few games, I mean, it's Mickey fucking Mouse. I don't have to sing that actor's praises. They did a really good job across the board. They managed to keep, like, they sounded like Mickey Mouse while also sounding like, I don't know, involved in the story. The problem that I have with the new Mickey Mouse actor is they don't know how to talk. I could just end the sentence right there. They don't know how to talk, like, regular tone. They sound fine when they're excited, but they don't have very many moments where they're excited. And they just sound like this the rest of the time. Hi, where's Aqua? We have to find her in the realm of darkness. Like, that's how Mickey Mouse talks in Birth by Sleep and onward. And it's really jarring. There's a lot of voice cracking. It's a really good Mickey voice. Thank you. No, that is like almost identical as to how Mickey Mouse sounds. And they sound fine when they're like talking high pitched, and that's why they're okay in the cartoons right now. But Yeah. Whenever they talk without being excited, they sound like this. Whereas the other old Mickey Mouse would always talk like this. You know, he'd be a little higher. He'd be more excited. Even when he's talking seriously, he's had like a good voice. Yeah. So anyways. What else? Larxene is in the frozen world, and that's the one good thing about it. Okay, now I gotta talk about this. Yes, there was organization members in the Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3, but they didn't do anything. They told you shit you already know, and then they left. And that's it. That sucks. Big Hero 6 World and 3 is your favorite because it's a data because it brings back the data stuff, and then the plot with Baymax is really interesting to you. See, I don't care for it. My biggest issue with the Big Hero 6 world is it feels rushed because it is the only world where you're not going. There's no linear progression in the actual like traversal of the world. Basically, they have this big city, and they did, and I think it was rushed at the end of development because they have this huge city, and then instead of like you progressing through it naturally, they just teleport you to a hub, give you a mission, teleport you into the city. You do the mission, you teleport back to the hub. It's rough. It's not very good. I love the world itself. I just, you know, it just feels like they rushed through the actual use of it. And then the story does nothing for me. I don't really care for any of the Disney stories in this. If I could choose a world for them to make, what would I pick? Ooh. I would love it if they I would love if they kind of maybe tapped into the Disney TV show catalog, like stuff like Gravity Falls is Disney, stuff like that. I would love if they, you know, tapped beyond just like the big movies that Disney has released. Lilo and Stitch World would be cool as well. We got to see Stitch on the spaceship. We never actually got to go to just Hawaii. That would be cool. If I had to pick just like a big Disney property though for a world, ooh, Treasure Planet. Yeah, everybody's saying it. Yeah, I think Treasure Planet is just like the easy one. That'd be just so fun, and I think it would fit really well. Why do I hate lesbian icon Aqua Kingdom Hearts? Alexa, I've told you so many times why I hate Aqua Kingdom Hearts. And it's because I talked about it in this video. It's because her whole character is how she loves her friends so much, but the game does not adequately express that. I think she was significantly improved in her time in the Realm of Darkness. That whole. So here's the thing: is they did something. They had something really cool going, where she was just like pissed off. She turned evil, and she was like really dejected in the Realm of Darkness. And I love that. It was really interesting to see this character who was all about light turn to dark in the most like convincing way of the whole series. And then but then she only gets like 10 minutes of screen time being evil because Sora beats the shit out of her and she's back to normal. And I kind of wish that they just made her a villain, not gonna lie. Like, I know it's not entirely up Kingdom Hearts' or at the very least made her a villain for a bit, and they could redeem her at the end or something, but it would have been nice if she was one of the 13 Darknesses. I don't know. You should remember the Pirates of the Caribbean world in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's easily the best one. See, I agree with you. That is definitely the best world in Kingdom Hearts 3, best Disney world. If you do the side content. However, if you're like me and you were just trying to push through the game, like I replayed it recently and I was just trying to get through everything. If you ignore the side content, the Pirates of the Caribbean is easily the worst world in Kingdom Hearts 3. Because one, it is balanced with the side content in mind. So if you don't do it, you're extremely underpowered for the final boss. And two, the final boss is boring as hell. It's not very good. But if you do the side content, it's actually fantastic. I do like it quite a bit. Where else are we? Why did Riku have bugs in him? Because Maleficent and Pete put them in there. It would sound bad to hear this Mickey say fellas did say. Here, I'll do it for you. Say, fellas, did someone mention the door to darkness? That's about what it would sound like. Say, fellas, did someone mention the door to darkness? Even that, I think, is like too good. Feel like these games would be better without any Disney stuff. See, I agree. Here's the thing, right? Is the reason the Disney stuff is bad is because Disney won't let them make it good. So something that's interesting to know is that they're not allowed to, for the most part, the Disney World characters are not allowed to know about other worlds. They're not allowed to know about the multiverse. And that there's exceptions here and there, like Mickey Mouse obviously knows, and there's a couple exceptions, but for the most part, their high level IPs are not allowed to know. And that's why they're so kind of like, that's why the Disney worlds kind of suck, because they're not allowed to interact with the other worlds. Kingdom Hearts 1 didn't have that stipulation, to my knowledge anyways. And that's why everything was a lot more involved. But they're not really allowed to do much with the modern games, which sucks because it just means that the Disney worlds are just like a fucking like a weight again on their ankle. You know what I mean? It's rough. Yeah, it's sad. Do you think there'll be a Turning Red world where they go to a mystical Disney World of Canada? Hey, you joke about the mystical Disney World of Canada, but they've been to a lot of real life places in Kingdom Hearts. What else? What other questions do we have? Oh man, a Muppets world would be awesome. That'd be so much fun. Why didn't they just find another light to throw off the prophecy while still being able to beat Xehanort? So that's actually a good question. So they don't actually need to have exactly 7 lights. The idea is that they just have to fight 7. They could have 20,000 darknesses and 20,000 lights, and as soon as the first 13 in versus 7 fight happened, they're done. And they actually had a backup in Kingdom Hearts 3. It explains that a couple of the characters you meet are the new Princesses of Light, and they are basically the backup. They are the backup, like 7 lights. So if your characters fuck shit up, they have backups that they can just fight instead. What else? Sounds like modern Paper Mario where they're not allowed to make it creative. Yeah, that's a lot of what it feels like. I'm actually hoping that so I've got a crackpot theory here. I'm hoping that the whole idea of the other worlds being like fictional worlds, like in the words of like Melody of Memory, they called them worlds of fiction or like unreality. I'm really hoping that means that they're gonna go to Final Fantasy worlds instead of like Disney worlds or something. Like I'm really hoping that like, because obviously like Final Fantasy 7 is out. Final Fantasy, what is it, 8, I think has Leon and everybody in it. That's out, obviously. But they could totally like do one where like you know, like Lightning from Final Fantasy 13. I've never played that game, but a lot of people love Lightning. That would be like a perfect like world to dip into. What about Xenoblade Chronicles? Like I'm hoping they're bringing in other Square Enix properties is basically what the fictional worlds are going to be. That's my hope. Yeah, they can kill chaos. Exactly. Like I'm hoping that we get to see like other Square Enix. Yeah, like Chrono Trigger. That'd be amazing. That's what I'm hoping for. They couldn't drop all the Disney worlds, obviously, because Kingdom Hearts is owned by Disney. So it would have to be a mixture of them. But I'm hoping. That's kind of my fingers are crossed for. If I was Nomura's editor and I had one absolute veto, what would you ding? Probably the, you know what? Actually, yeah, young Xehanort as a character. I fucking hate young Xehanort. He's stupid, he's nasally, he's annoying, I hate him. He sucks. Yeah, that's what I would veto. Weren't there only a handful of new princesses, though? Yeah, so that's the thing, Mechazoic era, with Kingdom Hearts 3 bringing in the new Princesses of Light. There was only a couple of them, so it doesn't really work. It's very underthought out, and yeah. Oh my god, they could do 10. They could do Final Fantasy 10. Oh, they can't though, because Wakka's in it. Fuck! No, they can't do Final Fantasy 10 because Wakka's in it, and Wakka's in Kingdom Hearts 1, very briefly. Oh, and Tidus is in there too. Fuck. Nier. Yeah, they could do Nier. That's funny. You know what? They probably could do Nier if they just, like, toned it down. Wakka is racist, sadly true. Also, Auron. Yeah, shit, they have, like, all the Kingdom Hearts 10 characters, don't they? Yeah, okay, they couldn't do 10. That's a shame. Oh well. The thing is, I don't think that they'll do that because if they have some Final Fantasy characters being real and some being fictional, that's complicated. Although they could retcon it that all the Final Fantasy characters. No, wait. They couldn't have come from an unreality world because Final Fantasy characters are helping them find Sora, so they would just know about it. So no, that wouldn't work. Damn. Okay. Well. Okay. Oh, look, it's their worlds. Yeah, but my idea is that they make the unreality stuff other Square Enix properties. I don't know what they're gonna do. I hope it's good though. I'm excited because like Nomura seems really excited to change arcs here. Like Nomura just wanted to get the Xehanort Saga done and over with. It felt like in Kingdom Hearts 3, and that's sad. But like, I don't know. I'm hoping that this next arc is a little bit more thought out because at least there's been all this time building up to it. You know, hopefully Nomura has some idea of what he wants to do for the next games, but we'll see. Ooh. It's very common for characters to lose their memories in these games. That's true. That is true. They could easily retcon it so the Final Fantasy characters came from worlds of fiction. You're right. They could. Yeah, what else could they do? Like, I don't know. It's interesting. What if it all just ends here? Nah, because Melody of Memory happened. And that sequel baited hard, so. Final Fantasy 14 World, you gotta do a full raid. Anyways, so that's basically where I'm at. This was the Kingdom Hearts series, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and call the stream because we've been live for a while. But thank you all so much for welcoming me back. I really appreciate it. I had a grand time today. Thank you everybody for who donated. I very much appreciate it. I will be streaming again consistently. I'm no longer sick, so you will see me here back again here and there. Next stream, I'm probably gonna go ahead and do the super bosses for Kingdom Hearts 3, which I abandoned months and months ago, but I'm probably gonna do it, but it's gonna be modded this time because I have been playing modded Kingdom Hearts 3 on my PC, so we'll see. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and I will see you all next time, probably Wednesday or something, I don't know. So thank you all so much for hanging out. Thank you for welcoming me back, and I will see you all soon. Let's go find somebody to raid. God, it's nice to be back. I wasn't even gone that long, but like, God, it felt like forever. It felt like it never ended. Y'all want to see that new Kirby game? Let's go raid somebody who's playing that new Kirby game. Everybody, we're raiding user Orchestra, who's playing that funny new Kirby game. Is there art? Shit, I didn't check.
Yeah.
There is a heart. Oh, let me pull that up on stream. We'll do this raid in a second then. Let me take a look at the art. Oh, this is great. This is from Goblin. This is from Goblins Hate Cops or Goblinoid Guy on Twitter. This is really good. Fuck, wrong one. Hold on. This is me explaining Kingdom Hearts. This is really good. Thank you so much. I love this. All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's go pop that raid out. I need to go lie down because I'm tired. But our raid phrase is, what is our raid phrase? What do we say today? There's a lot of stuff we talked about, but I'm too pooped to remember any of it. Anybody got any ideas? Duke, you got any ideas?
We learned it all.
Did somebody say the door to darkness? Come Guard. I'm not going to do Come Guardian on somebody I barely know. I don't know this person very well, so I'm not going to do that. All right, let's do. Did somebody say the door to darkness? Because I got nothing. All right.